The site's called youtube.com, and that's Y-O-U.
I don't give up. And I do not let down.
It's just frozen because it's backlogged, is all.
And now, our
Feature presentation.
Hi everyone, this is a YouTube video that I made as a community service.
Flight. For some of us, it's a luxury, a quick and easy way from point A to point B, while for others, it's an anxiety inducer, a mortal fear even.
Oh, I will, Dr. Red.
But for 53-year-old Zahari Ahmad Shah, flying was simply his life. His passion started at the age of just 20, when Zahari would begin studying and training to become a pilot.
Becoming a pilot is one of the craziest things ever. Like, just being able to do that. I could never because I'm... it is overused, but I think it's to play on people that are our age, right, Rock? Because you grew up in the DVD era.
Full-time captain years down the line, he went on to log over 18,000 hours of flight time without receiving so much as a single blemish on his record. As a pilot, his skills and work ethic were impeccable, earning him great respect among his peers. While outside of work, he was really just a normal guy. He had a flourishing family with a wife and 3 children, as he spent most of his free time either with them or fishing, cooking, and perusing social media, with one of his favorite sites being YouTube. Not only was Zahari an active user, but he would also post an occasional video or two of himself, of which very little ever stood out.
And this is how it looks like.
As at the time, his channel seemed destined for obscurity. However, it wouldn't turn out this way, as in the end, it would take just a single day for his channel to become one of YouTube's darkest.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety, please observe the presentation of safety procedures on the screen at the front.
April 27th, 2010, Zahari's channel is launched.
Yeah, you know what? Very soon. Jordan.
First, being primarily used to listen to music, as well as watching the latest viral video that the site had to offer. And it wasn't until the start of 2013 that he would begin uploading videos of his own. And when I previously mentioned that very little stood out in these videos, that may have actually been an understatement, since they all came across as almost painfully normal. His first upload was the first of a 2-part instructional video on how to save money on your air conditioning, and in it we see his wife occasionally jump in to help Zahari as he shares his tips on reducing the cost of electricity bills.
Mag, I'll give you the settings as well for my monitor that I use.
The air. So she's gonna do it for 1 second.
The 2 videos were certainly informative, but visually there isn't much to unpack here, with the exception of one detail. As behind Zahari was what appeared to be a massive flight simulator right within his home.
Fix the leakage or fix any problem that is in the system.
It was a device that Zahari had put together himself and used both for fun and to hone his skills. And considering his line of work and what we know about him, this wasn't all that surprising, as he not only took his job very seriously, but he also just genuinely loved to fly. From there, Zahari would go on to publish 5 other videos following this same formula. Low-quality tutorials like how to properly seal your windows,
And it's very effective.
and how to clean your air conditioning unit.
Lift up the bottom pipe.
None of which ever really had a chance of making him rich or famous, but that was never the point. As for Zahari, this channel really only served as a way to help others, going out of his way to make useful videos for those who could really benefit from them, and he did so only out of the goodness of his heart, as he received nothing in return. And to those who knew Zahari at the time, this was exactly the kind of man he was, a good and honest person, always wanting to provide others with a helping hand.
Breaking news tonight.
But that was then. And today, Zahari is viewed much, much differently, with it all going back to one day, a day in which Zahari's life and the world itself would forever be changed.
I will now brief you on the safety procedures to be observed on this airplane.
March 8th, 2014, Captain Zahari clocks in for duty at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, with his first flight being a roughly 6-hour trip to Beijing International Airport. In the cockpit alongside him would be 27-year-old Farik Abdul Hamid, a first officer partaking in his final training flight before facing examination.
Guys, I noticed really weird
official
details, but
captain.
this guy has like perfect teeth. What the hell? I'm sorry.
In his final training flight before facing examination to become an official captain. Together, the pair was well versed and well equipped, as Zahari himself had made this trip countless times before. And by 12:42 a.m., the massive Boeing 777, its 12 crew members, and 227 passengers would take to the sky en route to yet another routine trip.
Dude,
to
my
Beijing.
anxiety would be so spiked if I was flying, especially my first couple trial runs. Holy shit.
Little did the passengers know at the time, but from the moment that flight left the ground, their fate was forever sealed, as they now had a front row seat to one of the most shocking aviation events in human history.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing. At this hour, a desperate search is underway for MH Flight 370.
That day, Malaysia Flight 370 would lose radar signal not even an hour into its course, and essentially vanish into thin air, with its final destination still being unknown to this day. And right at the very center of this mysterious event was its captain, Zahari Shah. What exactly happened on that fateful flight is and will likely always remain a mystery, but in recent years there has been at least a vague outline of events constructed that seem to point to one disturbing conclusion. At approximately 1:19 a.m., Captain Zahari would make contact with air traffic controllers as his plane was leaving Malaysian airspace and heading into Vietnamese airspace.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Though from there, Zahari would never contact the team in Vietnam, and instead, the transponder within the plane that essentially acts as a tracking device for officials on the ground
Went off.
would be manually turned off just 2 minutes after Zahari's final message. With this, the plane had essentially become invisible to the world below, with the exception of a far less reliable tracker built within the plane that couldn't be manually shut down. The device works by sending out a ping with the plane's coordinates once every hour, which, when analyzed, showed investigators that rather than heading towards Beijing, the plane had instead done a complete 180 immediately following Zahari's final transmission, and was actually heading in the direction of Australia before the signal was lost for good somewhere over the Indian Ocean. This information would only grow more concerning, as in 2015, small pieces of the craft began washing ashore in various locations, some of which showing damage consistent with the plane that
pretty
had
much
struck
seals it.
water at high speeds. Taking all this into consideration, it does seem likely that the plane had ultimately crashed into the Indian Ocean, with the larger parts of the craft likely having sunk to the bottom around the location of that final ping.
With deep sadness that I must inform you, flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
And with the depths in that area reaching over 3 miles deep, it's very likely that these parts may never be found.
I made turkey sausage and eggs earlier.
But though this seems like a logical conclusion, this theory fails to provide an explanation as to how the plane got so far off course, as no navigational or electrical failure could have ever accounted for the bizarre movement of the flight, which is where Captain Zahari comes into play. For starters, that transponder was turned off immediately after he had given that final
Yeah, it's like, did he just
message,
go
which was
rogue
then
out of
followed by
nowhere?
the plane turning 180 degrees and heading in the complete opposite direction, ultimately to its demise. Both of these actions are extremely noteworthy, as they were not only undoubtedly deliberate, but they also could have only been done from inside the cockpit, a place in which only Zahari and Farik had access to, immediately making the two pilots the primary suspects, with Zahari quickly emerging as suspect number 1. According to those close to Zahari, his mental health had seemingly been on the decline for months, and potentially even years leading up to the event. And according to his own daughter, her father had become quote-unquote unrecognizable, with others adding that he was in no mental shape to be flying. Along with this, Zahari had seemingly been having struggles with his marriage, as he had been caught on numerous occasions flirting with other women over social media, causing a rift that you would never sense by watching his videos.
And Nur Hayati here, my helper.
And on the subject of these videos, one of the most damning pieces of evidence used against Zahari had actually made an appearance in his very first upload. Upon investigators searching Zahari's home for clues, they would analyze the flight simulator seen in the background of this video, where they discovered a disturbing clue. Within the data of the flight simulator, it was found that Zahari had charted a course and practiced flying a route that matched nearly identically to the one Flight 370 was said to have taken that fateful day. And given just how obscure that route was, investigators believed that this couldn't have been a coincidence. As to make matters even stranger, Zahari had actually tried to scrub the data from the device just 1 month before that fateful flight.
Some data has been deleted from the simulator, and forensic work to retrieve this data is ongoing.
Taking all of this into consideration, the narrative was quickly formed that Captain Zahari had premeditated this entire disaster as some sort of murder-suicide mission, with this now becoming the most widely believed and currently most likely theory to explain the mystery of Flight 370. Though it is important to remember that this is just that, a theory, and it is in no way a concrete conclusion. However, if this were to be
this
true,
happened.
that would make Zahari Ahmad Shah the most prolific killer in YouTube's history, by a huge margin, as he would have been responsible for the deaths of over 238 people, with his channel potentially featuring the very device that this whole event was plotted on.
Thank you for your attention.
Oh, that's awesome, Jordan. That's awesome, man. Yeah. And I've heard that a lot too, you know, when you have kids, you really, you really sacrifice a lot for them. But that's awesome that that she's doing well.
Golden service.
Do you want to hear something truly horrifying? 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the age of just 35.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Oh, this is a sponsor. I thought that was part of the YouTube's darkest channels. Don't talk about hair loss. I'm paranoid about it.
All about America. America is a pretty amazing place.
I know somebody who doesn't have that is Dave. Dave's got like a fucking straight up hairline, dude. Dave's got a Giga Chad hairline. Dave, can I show your picture of you wearing the dress shirt and the tie? You cool with this? You cool with this? You don't know what pick? This one, dude. Look at this Giga Chad. Look at that straight hairline, dude. You could scientifically analyze how little hair loss is occurring here. We're not going to talk about the 5 head. We're not going to talk about the 5 head. I'm sorry.
October 2nd, 2010. A bizarre 7-minute video titled America.
Exactly, Jordan. I like the way you think. Let's go, dude.
Your last memory in a terrorist country is posted to YouTube depicting a masked man in a robe setting fire to the American flag.
Oh no. Can I show this?
And welcome yourself to the desert. Maybe your ability to protest is from the brainwashing of the current government structure. This incoherent writing and
no, Dave's barely older than me.
Would be
He's
the
young
only
as hell.
content featured on a channel called Star Hitchnaz, but it would be far from the only upload that its creator would make to the platform in general. The man's real name is Jared Lautner, and over the course of 2010, he would use YouTube as a way of critiquing society in the United States.
Society?
With most, if not all of his videos coming across as extremely disjointed and showing clear indications that Jared himself was completely delusional. However, he wasn't always this way, as growing up, he lived a
Jared,
fairly
of course.
normal life.
Fucking Jared's, dude. Oh yeah, that's an Omega curse name after the subway incident.
In Tucson, Arizona, becoming a decent student and even a talented musician.
Never mind.
And it wasn't until high school that things would really take a turn for the worst, when his then girlfriend, a young lady named Kelsey Hawkins,
Kelsey, that's another cursed name.
would unexpectedly end their relationship.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
Something that Jared would never recover from. As immediately following this, he would fall into a deep depression before eventually turning to drugs and alcohol to cope.
I don't think I say that about your
With this, his once kind and caring personality
about your own
would
brother.
become bitter
Oh
and
my god,
defiant
dude, got him.
as he began lashing out against his teachers and bosses. Something that first led to Jared losing his job at Quiznos and his position at a local animal shelter. With this trend continuing on into
What are your settings on though,
2006,
Meg?
when Jared would leave high school and never return.
The Jared from Quiznos. Can you imagine if Quiznos picked him up or something after? I don't know. Never mind.
Instead, becoming a social recluse within his parents' home.
Oh, not the mom's
There,
basement dweller.
Jared's only interaction with the outside world would come in the form of conspiracy forums and blogs, as Jared not only became more and more detached from the world around him, but he also became more and more angry at it as well, with a specific hatred developing for the government, an idea that was only amplified on the date of August 25th, 2007.
And today, a chance to bring those kinds of concerns straight to Representative Gabrielle Giffords as she brought
Their own Jared, not anything like the other Jared.
That day, Jared would attend an event in the Tucson area held by the then Arizona Senator Gabrielle Giffords, where local citizens could ask questions or raise concerns directly to the senator herself. And on that day, Jared would be given a chance to speak briefly with her, which he'd take advantage of by asking the question, "What is government if words have no meaning?" It's unknown exactly how Senator Giffords responded to this, but according to Jared, he felt as though she had brushed aside his question and essentially ignored it altogether by moving right on to the next person, clearly not taking Jared seriously. Which was said to have infuriated him, as his hatred for the government that had been brewing for some time had become even more justified in his mind. And
you don't have to
things
stop the
were about to
recording.
get much worse.
I mean, you can, because we can always just
event,
download the VOD as a
Jared would
backup.
receive a letter from Senator Giffords' team thanking him for attending the function, only to have his last name misspelled on the document.
Oh no, they
For
didn't
Jared,
misspell it.
The whole ordeal with this senator was too much for him to bear, as he believed that the government was run by incompetent and illiterate people who were nowhere near his intelligence level, with the misspelled name becoming a fixation of his, as he slowly began to believe that he was the only literate person left throughout the world.
I've
With
met
this
a few
going on
people
to
like this.
inspire the content he'd create here on YouTube. The video created by Jared showing him burning an American flag features a pretty self-explanatory message on how he felt about America as a whole. But this clip was far from his most scathing upload, with that having come just a few weeks prior.
I'm in a terrible place. This is my genocide school.
At the time, Jared had been attending Pima Community College, a school featuring a program designed to help high school dropouts get their lives back on track and eventually actually obtain a college degree, which in theory sounded like a great thing for Jared.
Right, but you have to go over to the recording tab and make sure that that stuff is set, and the bitrate needs to be like 10,000 bitrate.
reality, its results only proved to sink him further. During his time at Pima, police would be called to his classes on 5 separate occasions when Jared would protest, argue with, and defy his teachers, as he had major problems with any and all authority figures in his life. After all, he believed that he was by far the most intelligent person on the planet, and feeling wronged and frustrated with
brother
his
is like
schooling,
this.
his feelings would all spill out in one video posted to a now deleted channel, showing Jared behind the camera touring his campus.
This
Yeah,
is
10,000.
Pima Community College. The students are so illiterate that it affects their daily lives. They're controlling the grammar. They control the grammar. How's it going? Thanks for the B. I'm pissed off. I lost my freedom of speech to that guy. All the teachers that you have are being paid illegally and have a legal authority over the Constitution of the United States under the First Amendment.
What's this guy on about?
It's not hard to understand the concern behind this video, as Jared was clearly mentally ill at the time.
If the student is unable to locate the external universe,
Oh no, not
the
one of
student
these.
is unable to locate the internal universe.
Okay, when I say my brother's like this, obviously I don't mean whatever heinous thing this guy's about to do, because judging from this build-up, it's going to be really bad. What I mean is my brother thinks that he's the most intelligent person in the room everywhere he goes. Everywhere. He thinks that he's the smartest person. He thinks that he's the most in touch with his emotions. He thinks that he's the best and smartest person everywhere that he goes. And it's hilarious. Very egotistical as well, on top of that.
Where is all my subjects? I could say something sound.
Oh, you're
out, but
telling
I
me,
don't
Pitt.
feel like
What's
it.
up, by the way?
Filled with so much obvious anger that could be heard seeping out of his voice. And given that no one really knew what he was capable of doing, the video would quickly be sent to school administrators, who immediately perceived it to be
That means
a
meth.
threat. This
Probably.
led to Jared's instant removal from the school, with the option being given for him to return again.
Yeah, what's the deal with
if he
that?
were to
Okay, so
receive
with you guys, is that your older brother, Jordan? Because it's my older brother. Is it an older sibling thing? Is it a first child thing? What's going on? I don't know. But all I know is my dad knocked that shit out of me when I was very young. He used to always tell me, there's always somebody better than you at everything. So don't ever try to be the best. And that was good advice, because he was right. He's like, don't try to be the best. Just try to find your thing. Try to find what makes you unique. He's like, striving to be the best at something is fine and all, but you'll never maintain that forever. Oh my god, all older brothers. Well, confirmed, all older brothers are douchebags.
Pediatric help.
Confirmed.
This, however, never happened, and instead, Jared would only isolate himself even further,
Except
with
for
his
Dr.
internal
Reds.
rage reaching an all-time high.
Oh my
and
god.
his delusions as well, all of which would be documented on his final channel called Class It Up 10. The videos here are some of the most bizarre.
Yeah, what's the deal with that, dude? We're all a group of youngest siblings. I think Mag is the youngest in her family, too. What is the deal with that, dude? Did the algorithm bring us all together to be here at this time in this exact place?
See, as they feature only text writings from Jared, who discusses his problems with society, as well as his ways to fix it.
Exactly, Jordan. Yep. My brother doesn't know anything. He just takes other people's opinions from Twitter and stuff and just parrots it all day. No downscale at all,
In
Mag.
his first upload, he tells his audience that he was creating a new currency, a new letter to be added to the alphabet, and even a new number, which he believed would reject the government's authority and give him some control of the currency, the numbers, and the language of society. And his postings wouldn't stop there. He wrote about how he believed he could control every belief and every
And then if you do an ounce of research, here's what he does. If you do an ounce of research and you directly refute what he's saying with actual evidence, then he's like, well, I'm over this conversation. He's like, I've matured past this conversation. I don't want to have this anymore.
being a quote-unquote
Yeah, because he got proven to be a fucking idiot.
mind controller, of which he offered no other context for. By this point, his words were almost impossible to fully understand, leading to his final video in which he stated, "My ambition is for informing illiterate dreamers about a new currency. In a few days, you'll know I'm concise dreaming. Thank you."
You know I'm conscience dreaming. This guy read that so
These
badly.
were the final words written to the Class It Up 10 YouTube channel, and the final trace of Jared left behind on YouTube, as in his mind, he was now in control of society, and all that was left to do was show the world.
In a democracy, people have the power. And in America, that means you.
In the early morning hours of January 8th, 2011, Jared checked into a motel room where he would post a photo to his MySpace page of a gun on top of a US textbook, along with a series of other lewd photographs of him in women's underwear, featuring the message, "Dear friends, please don't be mad at me. The literacy rate is below 5%. I haven't talked to one person who is literate." After this, Jared would go on to attend another political event happening within the parking lot of a nearby Safeway store, with this event being that same one that he had went to years before, with it being hosted by
Jordan, same, dude. My brother, a couple of years back, we had a falling out because he was stealing rent money and shit from me, so I had to kick him out of my apartment. And he somehow turned it around as him being the victim and was saying that he wouldn't talk to me until I apologized. And I was like, well, you'll be waiting until never because I'm not apologizing for your shit. And then he just blocked me everywhere. Yeah, and we didn't talk for 2 years, and we started talking like January of 2020 again. He was in my stream a few times, and then he just went back to his old shitty behavior. So I was like, okay, well, fuck this.
Other than Senator Gabby Giffords, the villain in his story, and soon to be the main target of his rage. It happened in just 15 seconds. As the senator was meeting citizens one by one, Jared would promptly cut the line, pull out his pistol, and fire at point-blank range. His first shot would strike Gabby Giffords directly in the forehead before he turned the gun on the crowd of innocent bystanders and fired at random. In total, 13 people would be struck before Jared was tackled to the ground and restrained.
Holy shit.
And of those victims, tragically, 6 would lose their lives, quite literally in the matter of a few seconds. A short yet devastating rampage. But shockingly, Gabby Giffords would not be one of these 6 victims to lose their lives, as despite being shot directly through the head, she would eventually go on to survive the ordeal and has since gone on to make an incredible recovery. Jared's multiple channels remain live and now sit dormant, in a state that will likely never be changed, as he is destined to live out the remainder of his life in prison, with those final videos serving as a brief glimpse into the mind of one of the most disturbed killers in the United States' recent history. A troubled man who, much like our next YouTuber, had their final thoughts and final delusions captured right here on YouTube. Only in the case of the Indigo Mystic, her disturbing conclusion would play out right on her channel for the whole world to see.
You've always been the perfect mother, but you'll have a hard time keeping this mother down.
Hello, everybody. It's the Indigo Mystic. Toodaloo.
Her name is Jessica Worsham, a 43-year-old mother of 2 living in Houston, Georgia.
Sounds like
Her
drugs.
early age, Jessica viewed herself as different from most others in the world, believing that she possessed psychic abilities that not many could comprehend, which was ultimately the inspiration behind her YouTube channel, The Indigo Mystic.
And just
a page
making
that
stuff
aimed to
up.
open a dialogue with others like her. And from its inception back in April of 2013, her content was apparently very lighthearted, and for the most part, almost entirely positive. A trend that has long since ended. For years, Jessica had been living as an unemployed single mother with her 2 children, and given her lack of income, she struggled to find permanent residency for her family. Or at least that was, until the year 2019, when family friends would allow them to live rent-free in a home they were selling. they allowed Jessica and the kids to stay in the vacant home
Yeah,
until
exactly.
someone would buy
Whatever
the
girl
property,
he's dating.
which
I'm sorry to keep pausing the video. Whatever.
ultimately
It's so
would
weird.
wind up taking nearly 3 whole years, meaning that all that time, Jessica and her children were able to live there without paying a single dime. The situation really should have been a dream come true for Jessica. Yet, when those 3 years were up, her reaction was far from grateful, as she immediately fought the decision to remove her from the home and refused to leave the premises, eventually going so far as to take these generous friends all the way to court, where
What?
unsurprisingly she would lose the case and subsequently be forced to leave the home. This situation was said to be the ultimate tipping point for Jessica's mental health, as she believed that this was all an elaborate plot against her to ruin her life, blaming the courts and the judge specifically for making her homeless.
You used to be a good person, didn't you, Benji? You did. You used to actually have the desire for justice. God knows about you. That's why you're scared. And you know who I am, don't you? All your little friends and buddies know exactly
Yep.
who I am and
So
what I'm
fucking
about.
fake, man.
Well, since this is just for Benjamin Green, kiss my ass.
Following this, the Indigo Mystic channel would no longer be a hub for positivity or spirituality,
Exactly, yep.
as Jessica would instead delete all of the channel's content, and in turn, she began obsessively uploading about the people who she believed had wronged her.
So, you want to attack me, huh? That's fine. Just get ready. And when I said karma was coming for you, I meant it.
And from that moment on, Jessica's videos would only grow more and more scathing, as little did she know, but there was yet another court battle looming in the distance. Following the initial court's ruling, Jessica and her children would begin couch surfing from place to place, living in a constant state of packing and moving, as due to the stress of the situation and her declining mental health, Jessica would begin picking fights and blowing up on those who were kind enough to take them in for free, something that would be documented on numerous occasions.
Oh, what the hell was that
across the Indigo
place?
Mystic channel.
You don't want none of me, I promise. Oh, yeah, I do. Fantastic! And he's coming over. That's what? Well, then what am I doing? Get the fuck out of my face! She hit me first. Stop it. Get the fuck out of here! I'm just trying to get scared.
But of these combative instances, what stood out the most was just how involved the children were, as at that time she had trained them to record all of her arguments so that she can then upload them to YouTube and act as if she were the victim.
That's how everybody does,
In
dude.
reality, it's not hard to see that the real victims were the children themselves.
You have the camera on, you're the victim, right?
I mean, the pain in their voice and the fear they clearly had, knowing that they were being kicked out of yet another home.
Jesus,
is
imagine being cursed with a mom like
with
this.
truly being how these kids lived on a daily basis, and others were starting to take notice. Seeing how the children were being treated and what they were living through, their biological father, a man named Sean, would attempt to gain custody to provide the children with a stable living environment, as he, along with many others, believed that Jessica wasn't fit to be caring for children at the time. This wasn't only due to the instability of her housing. and her
Sean from
seemingly
Street Fighter. Yes, Sean from Street Fighter 3 is gonna turn this bitch around.
Behavior,
Sorry
but
for
Jessica
that language.
herself had clearly become
I gotta
mentally
stop using the word
unwell
bitch
at
so
best,
liberally.
and at worst, she had become completely delusional, as she would begin posting videos claiming that she was being gang stalked.
All the stalking, all the gang stalking by my family and by these certain police factions needs to stop. I'm aware of you, honey. Don't you see me packing every time I go outside? And the more you come for me, the worse it's gonna be for you.
Along with this, she would also claim to have put hexes on the judges.
Oh no.
You're in regret, right? Scared, can't sleep at night, up all night. Maybe having ulcers. Yeah,
Ulcers?
that's right. If you only knew who I was. Hope those dreams are making you feel good. You're gonna regret ever getting yourself involved.
Oh,
And her
that made me
delusions
cringe
would
so
only
hard.
get more and more bizarre, as at one point she even called out the judges for attempting to telepathically communicate with her, even accusing them of performing child sacrifices behind closed doors.
I know you watching me, and I know you're scared, and you should be. Dingledorf, he's too scared. He's too scared to even try to communicate with me telepathically, but you're scared, aren't you, Benji? What about the children?
These are the people that try to claim they're wizards
Those that
or
you
some shit.
sacrificed for your glory? Because it's really hilarious, and it's going to be even more hilarious when my plan falls into place.
By this point, Jessica was completely detached from reality, and it seemed clear that she was neglecting the needs of her children, which would all come to a head on September 14th, 2021. That day, Jessica had
Wow, this
been
is so
summoned
recent.
into court for a hearing to determine the custody of her 2 children.
Yeah, take
something
them,
that she
please.
would discuss briefly in a video posted just hours before her arrival.
I'm actually going to court today against some people that are trying to take my children from me. The same people that took my home from me. the Jackson County court system. I really do feel more sorry for them and what's going to happen to them than me and my children, because my children aren't going anywhere. Anyway, if you don't see a video pop up in the next couple days, I probably got arrested, because I'm not going to back down.
And upon arriving at court that day, Jessica would have her children film yet another one of her arguments, as she would refuse to enter the courtroom.
My name is the Indigo Mystic. Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica Worsham. You guys have already taken our home from us, and you denied us help when we were being attacked several times. They refused to go inside. So if you could just relay that information for me, I would greatly appreciate it.
What?
We stand in solidarity as sovereign individuals, and we're not going to tolerate this injustice. I don't know where the justice in this world went, in this country, but it is not here, fellas and ladies. Not here.
What?
I'm not going to have my children taken from me.
The situation ultimately only proved to the judge just how bad things were in Jessica's mind, as the hearing would ultimately take place without her present, thus resulting in Jessica losing custody of her children, though only temporarily, as it was explained that once Jessica had found permanent residency and got help for her mental health issues, and she would be allowed to have her children back, and that this was only being done to keep the children safe. Though Jessica didn't see it this way, and under no circumstances would she be willing to give up her children, as she instead decided to take matters into her own hands. And immediately following the court's decision, Jessica Worsham and her 2 children would disappear. Well, not totally. Jessica did defy the court's decision, as she would take her children and go on the run, refusing to give them up. But even though most would assume that she would lay low for a while to avoid detection, in reality, Jessica would do just about the exact opposite.
YouTube videos.
She began posting more and more videos to her channel.
You-
This time,
Yeah, I can't even, dude. A mom is all you have at that age when you're that young. If that's your only parent, that's all you have to rely on. Everything in your life has to be provided by this person. And she's so busy running from the fucking court and recording YouTube fucking videos. I can't with this lady.
outright threatening the judges whom she blamed this whole situation
And now
on,
she's trying to dress like fucking Emperor Palpatine or some shit.
daring them to take her children away from her.
They're mine. Mine, 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 mine.
She's trying to say, look how much of an evil mystic I
I'll
am.
do anything, including lay my life down for them. And if you come after me, I'm just telling you right now, it ain't gonna go down pretty. No kinds of pretty is gonna come out of anything. And that's not a threat, that's a promise.
And her hatred wasn't just amplified towards the court officials, as she would also launch a whole new tirade against Sean, the father of her children.
You'll never.
That was actually the camera crew for cops rolls up on this lady. The cop runs at full speed and tackles her. And then they arrest her, they have her in cuffs, and they're like, what were you doing here today? Well, I was actually coming out here to get a cupcake and then go back home.
Again, you'll never, ever see them again. They hate you.
With Jessica sinking to lower and lower depths to get back at him, with one of the most disturbing examples being when she had her children call him and tell them just how much they hated him and never wanted to see him
You know,
again.
she forced them to do this.
Do you want to be with Sean?
No.
Do you love him?
No.
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel about him?
I'm disgusted.
Hi, Sean. My
You
daughter's
know
trying
she
to
told
talk.
them to say
How
that.
do you feel about him?
I think you're disgusting, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion and not hers. So.
Oh,
Seriously
please.
though, we're disgusted. We hate you.
This is what you've done to your family.
We really hate you. So why don't you just shut the hell up?
The whole time her children are talking, Jessica continues egging them on to say worse and worse things. And though obviously I can't speak on their relationship with their father, this is still an incredibly toxic and traumatic thing to have your children do. And things were just getting started on the Indigo Mystic channel, as she had started to mention the fact that she had owned a gun, which she nicknamed Betty.
I was in there buying some ammo, some critical defense bullets for Betty. You know, because we gotta treat her right, you know.
Which would eventually lead to this clip.
Just for any of y'all that might want to get wild, you know. This is Betty.
Yeah, I was gonna say censor.
All right, get a good look. Any of y'all that think y'all might want to come at me, I got something waiting for you.
Things were clearly escalating.
Wait, but I thought you were a mystic. Wait. If you're a mystic and you can put hexes on people, why do you need a gun? You can just do this and like curse them, you know, right?
Undoubtedly soon to reach their breaking points, which leads us to November 3rd, 2021, when two of the most chaotic, bizarre, and disturbing videos I have ever seen were posted to the Indigo Mystic channel.
Hold your phone on their faces. On their faces.
You need to get
Oh.
out of this house. You need to get out of this house. You want me to call the cops and get you out of this house?
At this time, Jessica had yet again been living with another family, and that night, two members of that family had gotten into a verbal and physical dispute, leading to an older gentleman being pushed on the ground. But as the family was fighting, Jessica decided to interject, only escalating the situation even more, as she began screaming at the family before they all lost their patience and demanded she leave the house, with the younger man going as far as to call the police. And in a panic, the children ran upstairs in fear that they had yet again lost another home. Meanwhile, Jessica had remained downstairs as she continued to argue with the family as they waited for the cops to arrive. And when they did, Jessica would be standing at the door to greet them, with Betty in her hand. Noticing the commotion, the children would do as they were trained and grab the camera.
Okay, yeah, this, okay. Well, it doesn't show anything, so I'll show it.
The children record just out of view as Jessica suddenly begins firing, leading to an all-out shootout with over a dozen shots ringing out, each of which being painfully captured as her children record helplessly, with the remainder of the video showing their reaction, which is just too upsetting for me to show.
Yeah, don't show it.
When it was all said and done, Jessica had fatally wounded 49-year-old Deputy Lena Marshall, a mother of three who tragically passed on the 18th anniversary of the death of her own son, while on the other side, Jessica Warsham laid dead in the doorway. Since the fatal incident, the Indigo Mystic channel still remains live, though as a shell of itself, as all of its uploads have now been wiped from the site.
Yeah, thankfully.
Almost as if nothing ever happened. When in reality, this channel had perhaps one of the most disturbing life cycles ever seen on YouTube, with its final video being one of the darkest to ever be uploaded, as right after the shooting, and before they even knew the fate of their mother, the children would post the video with the misspelled title reading, "My mom is dead, I think," before days later, the whole channel would be wiped.
That was a crazy video. Holy shit.
I want to give a huge shout out to my gold.
And those kids are scarred for life. I love they talked about a guy on YouTube who killed over 200 people, and then just, you want to hear something horrifying? 2 out of 3 men. Oh my god, dude. I never thought about how fucking ridiculous that advertiser segue was.
Just disappeared.
These are just a few of YouTube's darkest channels.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I made a video entitled The YouTube Kidnapper. In it, we discussed a channel that had been posting concerning videos that had very dark implications. One of the most off-putting parts of the 00390 channel were the videos that showed the person behind the camera stalking different women. I've had many people reach out to me and ask if there's been any updates around this channel, but unfortunately, there hasn't. However, I have become aware of another channel that shares many similarities, specifically when it comes to filming and stalking women without their consent. The channel's name is Dan Silly, and it's run by a man of the same name. And the content within his channel is disturbing.
Girls embrace
His very
cameraman.
first upload is a 3.5-hour video entitled, "I Will Grab Woman Soon." For the first portion of this video, Dan is filming himself walking the streets of LA, critiquing different women on how attractive they are.
Okay, there's a woman up here that's like 30-something.
Oh god, he looks the type.
Or trying to speed up so I can get an image. Her hips were narrow, not wide, you know, I mean, that's the catch, right? She was just sitting by herself. I could have said, hey, she just looked Asian. An over chubby Asian, you know, Americanized.
Now, though this isn't illegal by any means, it obviously comes across as a little creepy. And throughout the video, it only gets creepier as Dan shares his belief that our society is made too safe for women.
But in this place, the place is too safe with police. In other countries, it's way less safe. In order to get a bodyguard man, you know, that will protect you, you need to be a good woman. You need to act well. But in here the women don't need to act well, so therefore, they're disgusting.
What's he on about?
Good women.
They're not good women?
The most disturbing part of this video
no.
comes within its description, where Dan writes a lengthy rant about how badly he wants a woman for himself, because I guess the 3.5-hour runtime it wasn't enough to squeeze it all in. The rant starts with Dan saying, "I'm going to grab women. Don't you want to grab them? Squeeze them? I am going to grab them, but only if they want me to. It will be annoying asking so many times, but they could get me arrested if they happen to not want me to grab them. And I do." Later on in the rant, he says that the woman he ends up with cannot drink caffeine, eat dairy, wheat, etc. She also should not be on social media, and desire for you to impregnate her. The rant ends with a chilling line, "I will have live footage shortly of me causing women to feel very high amounts of pleasure. I will show you exactly what you need to do
I'm glad he didn't
in order
show
to
this.
achieve a similar result as mine." From the first video alone, it seems clear that Dan's view on women is concerning. I mean, the video title is literally, "I will grab women soon." And in it, he's scouting women on the streets, judging them solely by their appearance. And in his own description, he admits that what he's planning on doing could get him arrested. The insinuation on what he's referring to is clearly there.
I'm looking around, I'm looking for what I want, I'm shopping for what I want. I'm shopping for food, I'm shopping for sex, okay? This is not bad. Why is this bad?
And the content only gets worse from here.
Hi.
Oh no.
Why are you ignoring me? Why exactly are you being, like, tired of being sexualized? Like, isn't it good to, like, be valued for something?
Get the pepper spray out, dude.
After the initial video, Dan switched
I know.
to
This guy would watch the new Joker movie and say, I just see myself in this character.
Style to approaching random girls and filming them. It appears that he does this in an attempt to pick them up. Typically when approaching them, Dan says lines like, "Hi, I like you," or "I saw you over there and I want to kiss you." It's hard to watch as the people he's approaching want no part of it. But for the most part, it seems that Dan is unable to understand this.
At least it's in broad
as he
daylight where they
continues to
can
follow
get
many of
help
the
if they need it.
girls,
Look at that,
even
she's
after
running.
They tell them that they aren't interested.
They think I can't run or something? Hi, how's it going? How are you?
I think this guy has some kind of social disability. I think he has some kind of learning disability, if you want to know the truth. I don't know for sure, but just the way he's acting here is very bizarre. It's like he can't pick up on social cues at all.
Okay. Why not? Because we don't give you consent. You don't have to. I mean, I don't need consent. Right? That's a myth.
What?
Yeah.
Through all the hours of content, there are also multiple instances when Dan is filming where he clearly focuses on the private areas of these women.
Yeah, can you just
Dan
not, dude?
films these girls, the more you'll start to notice that some of them appear to be very young. In fact, some appear to be much younger than 18. Meanwhile,
Like this
Dan
is basically the guy that every parent warns their kids about right here.
in his 30s. This is something that is pointed out in many of his comments, with one comment writing, "You should make sure that they're older than 18. A lot of the girls you've been approaching..."
It's weird anyway. The age doesn't matter.
Now, just from looking at some of the reactions of the people that Dan are filming, it seems genuine. But as it turns
The age matters, but he shouldn't be doing this to anybody. Let me clarify.
out, there's actual proof that all of this is real. And it's proof that makes this channel and these interactions even darker.
I don't think he could be supervised 24 hours a day.
Daniel Patrick Silly is a high-risk sex offender who has moved to Rohnert Park.
As it turns out, Dan Silly is actually a registered sex offender, as he was arrested back in 2017 for harassing a minor in a sexual manner. It's just another piece to an already dark puzzle, but the arrest did lead to some good. It appears that once Dan was released, he stopped posting videos of him approaching and harassing random girls. And in fact, his channel has seemingly been dormant since then. But that isn't quite the end of Dan's story. As it turns out, since his arrest, he has been actively posting on 2 separate channels. There, he posts videos such as 15-year-old white girls served me food and all looked me in the eyes.
So he hasn't
Marriage
changed.
Material, I saw a 14-year-old who had a round.
Yeah.
And how to marry a 14-year-old girl. All of these videos are currently on YouTube. And all of these videos are being posted by a sex offender. It's truly one of the darkest sides of YouTube that I've ever encountered, and it makes me wonder how much stuff like this is going on.
I thought with the way that his tone changed there, I really thought he was going to say he changed his tune and now his channel's about helping people who are having problems. You know, I wish that were the case, and the way he was talking about it for a second kind of seemed like it. Nope.
Because I literally do feel like freaking like destroying these women when I accost them. My reptilian brain like literally feels like attacking these women. Like just like strangling them.
Oh my god. That's even scarier.
And making them submit to me. I feel like these women like
Oh my god, he said that?
But before I conclude Dan's story, I want to add a disclaimer that it is very likely that he is suffering from some type of mental illness.
You don't
that doesn't
say.
make his actions right in any way, and it doesn't absolve him of everything he's doing. But I want to ask you to please not go to his channel and leave nasty comments, because feeding into someone's delusions like that will only heighten his current mental state, and that would honestly just make things worse for everyone. YouTube has its fair
Holy
share
shit.
of dark channels, But there are countless others that are more mysterious than Dan's. Channels whose entire purpose seems uncertain. Channels like David Sardison, a page likely run by a man of the same name. Throughout David's 2-year span on YouTube, he has posted 8,431 videos to his channel.
All the same length,
which roughly
mostly?
evens out to be 11 videos a day. Posting that often alone seems like an impossible feat, especially for someone
You know
like
what?
me.
I know of another creepy channel like this. If it's still around. Craig Ship. This guy. He is a rich guy. It seems that he's either invested in property or something. And he always posts these weird videos of girls doing hoop dancing. And it's just like he's leering at them and always being really creepy about it. Like, look at this. Slow motion dancing, Sony A7S III in 4K UHD. The amazing and talented Brianna captured at 120 FPS. The autofocus stayed locked on Brianna's eye. The camera is an amazing piece of kit. Like, what is truly amazing is the fact that Brianna is as kind and polite as she is beautiful and alluring. Ugh. Fucking weirdo, man. Look at this guy. This is him right here. What a fucking chode. And he posts videos reviewing like Rolexes. Look at this. Why Grand Psycho trumps Rolex. Here's Craig Ship right here.
I told you I've been wrangling him, trying to wrangle him.
Got a fat 24K Rolex on. Anyways, you can hear the heavy breathing in that description for real.
That likes to take their time. But it's what this channel is uploading that has spurred an internet mystery.
I found his channel because he unboxed the gold iPhone 5S. Let's just be clear about how I found it. I didn't search this shit out. This was the first video by him I found. iPhone 5S gold 64 gig because I was looking at the phone at the time and I found it from here. And here's my comment from 7 years ago to prove it. So. But yeah, other people on here were talking about how creepy this guy is. And he responded by saying, if you have a problem with my girls, you can go somewhere else. Yeah, I can't find the comment now, but he's like, if you have a problem with my girls, then there's plenty of other YouTube channels you could peruse. And then somebody responded, my girls? Holy shit, you're a freak. And he never responded to that.
Video that David posted came back in January of
Exactly,
2018. And it simply showed a TV playing in a bare room.
Pleasure doing business, Deepwater. I'm Leanne Ford.
Hey, what's up, Mac? How you doing?
From the looks of the angle, it appears that Dan was recording this while laying down, likely on a bed.
Also, I still want to buy the Fruity Pebbles protein powder, I'm not gonna lie. Because when I start going out and skating all day, every day, dude, I'm gonna need a carb load. You know how it is, we gotta have that energy for the flips, for the ollies, for the kicks.
The title of the first video is Restored by the Fords, January 15-1, which is in reference to the television show that was playing on the TV. Every single one of the 8,000 plus videos posted
TV shows?
since then has followed the same exact premise. David is lying down on his bed, recording the TV in the same room.
This looks like a hospital room.
David was posting so many of these videos throughout the entire day of every single day shows that David must have spent the majority of his time simply lying in bed watching TV.
Dude, this is so sad that so many people that retire and stuff, all they have to do is sit and watch TV all day. Like, that's so sad to me. I even worked with a few people in retail who came out of retirement specifically because they said they were tired of sitting around watching TV all day after they retired. And they came out of retirement to do like back-breaking labor, like stocking the sugar and flour aisles late at night in those big packs of sugar that had like 50 pounds in a bag. Crazy, man. Yeah, or a psych ward, one or the other.
Seems very mundane, but also slightly off-putting at the same time. Each video more similar than the last. Just the same thing, over and over again.
Yeah, I know, Burn. It's fucked up,
What was
man.
this content for? Why was David posting so many times throughout the day? And why was he always in that room? Well, for the first year of this channel's existence, these questions were left unanswered. Nothing changed. The same room, the same content, every single day. But roughly a year later, David's videos changed.
Months go by, and a year goes by.
And then what happened?
The content stayed the same, but suddenly he was posting from a different room. There was no explanation given to the change in scenery.
It's like a shower
David was
curtain.
just now posting.
This seems like a hospital room, like where they have the curtains separating the two patients, maybe.
Location. There's something about this room, something that looks familiar, something unmistakable. That curtain next to the TV. A clear indication that David wasn't filming at a house anymore, and that he was likely filming from a hospital room.
Kitty Bell's literally sitting on me. She's so beautiful.
At this point,
she is a
another
fucking
switch in
queen.
David's videos was starting to become
We all have
apparent.
beautiful cats. Like, what the hell? Like, Tusk's cat is a fucking astute gentleman. Snick and Zero are amazing. Kitty Bell's a queen. And then Cat has her two cats that are also both beautiful. The Calico especially. Holy shit, she's beautiful.
It seemed that with every upload, David's camera work got shakier and shakier. Because of this, and everything else that we know, a theory can be put forth that explains what we might be seeing here.
She can hear me.
It seems like David
You have
may
two new
been
cats? Burn, you gotta post pictures of them in the Discord, man. We'd love to
used
see them.
YouTube and watching TV as a means to pass the time. This would explain the upload schedule and why he had seemingly devoted his entire life to posting these videos. But maybe David's health got worse and worse, something that the shakiness of the camera could signify. Maybe this led him to be transferred to the hospital, where he continued being bedridden and posting his videos to YouTube. It's an incredibly sad theory, but it wasn't confirmed or denied, and though it seems likely, David's channel still remained a mystery.
8,000
But a twist
videos.
was coming, and it was one that put the entire situation to rest.
Please tell me he didn't pass away.
6 months ago, David inexplicably stopped posting
Oh,
his videos.
God.
The channel that once put out nearly a dozen videos every single
I know,
day
Meg.
was halted altogether. Some reached out to ask if David was okay, while others speculated that maybe he got better and that he was no longer stuck in bed. David's disappearance further deepened this mystery, as no one knows where he went and why he stopped posting. But once this happened, I immediately feared the worst, and for the sake of this video, I did some research. Sardison David Glenn, 1966 to 2019. It is with heavy hearts that we announce the death of our beloved David. Our appreciation to the nurses on the second floor of St. Vincent's
Oh,
for their
Jesus.
care of David. This obituary was posted online 23 days after David's final upload. The middle name is even consistent with a second channel that David ran, called David G. Sardison, and the mention of his time in St. Vincent's Hospital is consistent with him being switched over to a hospital bed. So it appears that our initial theory was correct, and unfortunately, David was unable to recover from his failing health. It's a tragic end to what was already a very sad mystery. And the saddest part is that this is far from the only case of a YouTuber inexplicably passing away. In the summer of 2013, Tamisha Glashan, also known as Misha Ridge, began her YouTube channel. The focus of it was on fashion, and many were captivated by
Damn,
her
23K
kind
subs.
and cheerful
Nice.
personality. Watching her videos back, they are very reminiscent of old school YouTube, back before the fancy editing and the camera work. And truthfully, they're very refreshing to watch, especially at a time like this. Misha's talent and personality.
Yeah, that's normal
makes
with
me
a cat
truly
coming off the
believe
street,
that
though.
she
Once
would
they
have
get
found
adjusted to
great
being indoors
success
again,
on
though,
the
then they're cool.
platform today. But unfortunately, she'd never get the chance. On August 6th of 2013, Misha posted a video called How to Make a Maxi Dress with Cutouts. She concluded the video by saying,
and I shall see you guys in a few days for another sewing tutorial. Hope you guys enjoy. Bye.
that next video would
Never
never
came.
come.
Yeah.
We start with some breaking news
Oh,
in Sacramento
Jesus.
right now. Police are investigating a deadly shooting.
In May of the following year, as Misha was sleeping in her Los Angeles home, her ex-boyfriend snuck into her room and shot her at point-blank range. Misha was
And that was
pronounced
like day
dead
2.
at the scene. David and Misha's story are heartbreaking and terrifying to hear, as they reflect one of the darkest parts of YouTube, that out of the blue a creator could just be gone without the opportunity to say goodbye.
Sorry, I absolutely refuse to touch that topic. Mentally designed to want to shit in sand, yep. And cover it.
If you're having a little trouble with the picture on the TV now, maybe you just need to adjust the tracking on your VCR.
We've been here before. The dark side of YouTube. A home to the disturbed and the tragic that goes well beyond just what we see on our screens.
Police are investigating a deadly shooting.
A side that shows us just how twisted humanity can
Is that a
really
hookah?
be. A side reserved.
It was
by
showing something about Wuhan from early 2020, and I was like, nope. He said something about the current virus. I was like, nope, I don't touch that here.
YouTube's darkest
Nor will I ever.
channels. Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN.
Oh, come on, dude.
Anyone who
Get this VPN off the
risk
screen.
added in. Admittedly, it doesn't look like much. In fact, the footage we're watching seems nothing shy of normal. A family spending the day out, getting to see Thomas the Tank. It was all smiles and all laughter. On screen, we see the youngest member of the family, Ainsley Stapleton, and her older brother, McEwen. Behind the camera was their father, Matt. And here we see Kelly Stapleton and her daughter, Isabel, or Izzy for short. The video highlighted the family of 5 having one of their many fun days out of the house.
I don't use any
The
VPN.
video being posted to YouTube under the title Stapleton's Day Out.
I've
with
literally
Thomas.
never used a VPN in my
This
life.
clip went live all the way back in May of 2008 and would be the first of many videos posted to Kelly Stapleton's YouTube channel. And for the first 2 years of this channel's existence, many videos followed the same mold. Crudely edited clips showing the Stapleton family's wholesome moments. It's clear from these videos that the Stapleton family was a unit, even at times performing songs as a group together.
Dude,
And
this
in
is going to
many
be so
ways,
disturbing.
They all seemed like the perfect family. And it's likely that no one could have guessed the disturbing future that they were headed for.
No, besides, I literally have like the most secure internet usage ever. It's like YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Those 4 encompass 99.9% of my internet usage. So hey, if somebody wants to hack into my shit and see that, cool.
2010 came around.
I don't care.
Kelly seemed to be growing less and less interested in sharing these family clips to YouTube. And by mid-July, the final video was posted before the channel appeared to be dropped for good. In the description, Kelly writes, "Mom and autistic daughter finally danced together. This dance project was years in the making." The video shows the heartwarming moments of Kelly and Izzy dancing together on stage. This also served as the first confirmation throughout the channel that the Stapletons' daughter, Izzy, had autism, a fact that will prove crucial as the story continues. With that upload, Kelly Stapleton's channel fell dormant, and the small channel filled with precious family memories faded into oblivion. However, this wouldn't end up being the last time Kelly would post on
Family
YouTube,
vlogging channels?
as after
I don't know if it's just me, but family vlogging channels in general, like where they're all professionally edited and everything, are so cringy. Like
a
unbelievably
3-year-long
so.
break, the family would come back with a new string of videos. Videos that were a far cry from the wholesome content they had previously posted. On February 5th, 2013, Kelly would upload a 28-second long clip entitled Typical Day. And fair warning, it's disturbing.
Is it not even going to be the same people? What the fuck is happening?
This video came as an absolute shock compared to the channel's previous content, as it seemed to show some kind of very real physical altercation, with Kelly clarifying in the description what was supposedly happening here. Kelly writes, "My autistic daughter is aggressive. She was agitated and pulled my hair, then hit me several times. I was in the process of calling my husband for help when I must have hit the record button. This video is what happened next." And though this video shows us a glimpse at how bad things had gotten, it was Kelly's blog that had all the details. In it, she shares how Izzy had become physically abusive to members of the family, but especially with her, with Kelly even sharing pictures from the hospital where she had to go thanks to one of Izzy's outbursts.
Oh yeah, and I'll give you the settings on my monitor mag, which will basically set them up perfectly, but I promise you it'll look really good.
According to Kelly, she was only getting more violent.
And the 165
This
hertz
was
will help you a lot.
highlighted in the next video uploaded to the channel.
Oh, Jesus.
Again, this clip shows Izzy acting violently, this time with staff at her residential facility.
Oh my god, she's like ripping
Around
her
the
hair
time
out.
of these posts, a news program was actually
No. Settings as in on the monitor, like the buttons on the monitor to adjust color and contrast, that kind of stuff. That's what I mean.
Story, shedding even more light on their upsetting situation. The story tells of how Izzy had been placed in a special home where she was receiving treatment, and there she had also been having these violent outbursts. It was clear that she needed more time and more
Oh
treatment.
my god.
Or perhaps a new form of treatment altogether.
She's like beating the shit out of
But
people.
ultimately, Kelly and Matt had ran out of money, and Izzy moved back home.
She's gonna come home, and this is not gonna be pretty.
Well, you said to me she's gonna kill you.
She will.
You feel that way?
Yes.
It's a very sad and twisted situation. A mom afraid of her own daughter. And it's made worse by the fact that this wasn't really Izzy's fault. She was a victim of her own mind, and she needed better treatment to aid with her violent outbursts. During Izzy's time at home, Kelly would make 2 more videos with her, with the final being titled Nightly Prayers, a video that featured no description.
Oh, does this... I hope to god this doesn't end like I think it does.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
I really fucking hope.
God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love.
What's up, Ryrog? This is YouTube's Darkest Channels Volume 2. Is what you dropped into.
Amen.
The video shows the mother and daughter praying together, and at a glance, it seemed like maybe Izzy's treatment was starting to work. But strangely enough, this would be the final post ever made to the channel. And in the past 7 years, there's been no activity from the account, effectively marking the end of the Kelly Stapleton channel. It was also around this time that Kelly's blog became virtually inactive. So what ended up happening to the Stapleton family? And why did Kelly stop posting to her blog and to her channel? Well, surprisingly, it was all thanks to a camping trip.
Oh no. Wait. My brain just jumped to, did they just go on a camping trip and leave her? Please no. Please no.
It happened on September 3rd, 2013. Kelly approached Izzy and asked her to go on a mother-daughter camping trip.
No, that's what's gonna happen.
Izzy agreed, as Kelly had promised she could have as many s'mores as she wanted.
That's fucking horrible,
which
dude.
happened to be her favorite snack. So they drove out to a rural spot in Kenzie County, Michigan, and parked their van. There they sat by the fire as Izzy made s'more after s'more, something that I imagine
Dude, I'm
must have
nervous.
made her incredibly happy. After some time, Izzy had got back in the van and sat in the front seat, as her mom packed up their equipment in the back. In the trunk of the vehicle were 2 charcoal stoves that Kelly had brought for their night, so she grabbed them both and set them up in the back seat. She filled them with charcoal and one by one lit them up. Kelly got back in the vehicle and sat in the driver's seat next to Izzy, and as the smoke began to fill the car...
What? No. Oh, okay. What? Okay, I can't.
The windows and locked the doors.
Okay, well, he's not showing
Izzy
anything.
likely had no idea that this was never planned to be a night of camping. It was a planned murder-suicide. A plan hatched by her own mother.
What the fuck?
It seems that Kelly believed her daughter could no longer be helped, and she was tired of caring for her. And her plan was for the carbon monoxide to kill them both in the van, so that neither of them had to deal with this anymore. And so they sat there and they waited, as the poisonous gas slowly pushed them closer and closer to death. Kelly would send one final text to Matt before the two drifted off.
When the work is over and the stars are shining bright, it's time to go to bed. It's time to say goodnight.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to that video she posted of.
How could it go from this
Yeah, that.
to
That's what I was gonna say.
murder-suicide? Upon receiving the first text, Matt immediately notified authorities, and the van would be found hours later. And by some miracle, Kelly and Izzy were both still breathing. It wouldn't take long for Kelly to completely recover, with cops waiting to arrest her as soon as she was discharged. But Izzy wasn't so lucky. The fumes had made her fall into a coma, but luckily, after 3 long days, she became responsive, suffering only minor long-term brain
for
injuries.
real.
Today, Kelly is still serving time in prison, and Izzy has continued receiving treatment. And one of the most shocking parts of the aftermath to me was the public's response to Kelly. The comments on her videos are filled with
I don't blame her
overwhelming
one
support
bit.
for those who agreed with her decision to try and kill her own daughter, with one user saying, "I agree 100%, I would put that animal up."
What?
And you did absolutely everything possible. You should be proud of all you tried to do for Izzy and all you accomplished. I, for one, support you and understand why you did what you did. It's all very disturbing, and though the family was in a tough spot, they could have turned to foster care, group homes, new medication, or even just a new treatment plan. As in the time following the event, the family has been highly criticized for using a treatment plan that is known to cause agitation and anger. There was a lot more that could have been done, rather than murder your own child and rob her of the rest of her life.
Exactly.
Kelly Stapleton's channel will forever serve as proof that there's more than what meets the eye. The family seemed perfect, but in reality, they were more troubled than most. This is a theme that I've seen throughout YouTube. Channels who attempt to
That
follow
was
this mold.
crazy.
They make themselves look loving, caring, and perfect to cover up their true darkness. And typically, you can find these channels leached onto the most wholesome of genres, so that no one would suspect them, with family channels being the latest rabbit hole that I've fallen down. And though a channel such as Daddy of 5...
Daddy of 5 is a piece of fucking shit. This guy traumatized his kids for the sake of YouTube views by playing pranks on them every day. And he justified it by saying that he spent his YouTube money on game consoles for them.
They have been talked to death and listed as public enemy number 1. There is surprisingly a lesser known channel, one that was much, much worse.
Kid behind a camera was also pretty bad.
Back in June of 2012, the first video was posted to the Fantastic Adventures channel, a channel that would feature a variety of kids-friendly content.
Dude, YouTube channels, YouTube thumbnails especially, used to be all about this. Yellow and red colors everywhere. You guys remember when all YouTube thumbnails were like a solid yellow background with red patterns everywhere? Like as eye-popping as possible, designed to be as eye-popping as possible.
Feature a variety of kids-friendly content, mostly in the form of skits. The channel featured 7 children, all between the ages of 6 to 15, and behind the scenes it was run by their adopted mother, Michelle Hobson, who would orchestrate the skits, the editing,
well, she's in
and
court
the
there,
posting
so
of the actual videos, along
yeah,
with her
Smosh
2
thumbnails.
older biological sons who also helped out. And when you see the content, it seems so similar to what so many others are doing nowadays. A family making goofy, lighthearted skits made for children. And much like many channels in this genre, it pulled an incredible amount of views. Throughout its lifespan, the channel gained over 800,000 subscribers and a staggering 250 million views. Young kids were absolutely loving this content, and parents likely viewed it as a wholesome family-run account.
Right, but with this success comes pressuring the kids into making more videos. High volume had to be pushed. So pressuring them to come up with funny ideas, pressuring them to make more videos, anything imaginable. You know, like as soon as a YouTube channel is successful, immediately people's brains jump to more. How do we put out more? How do we make more? Yeah.
However, what many didn't know was that behind the scenes, a storm was brewing. It's now come forward that for years, neighbors were suspicious of the activities taking place in the house. It's unclear what exactly they had seen or heard, but we know that people in the neighborhood had reported Michelle to the Department of Child Safety 15 separate times. That alone is a major indication that something wasn't quite right with a family-run channel. But ultimately, the reports didn't lead to anything.
What about the Shay Carl kids?
Continued operating their page, which meant more money going straight to Michelle's pockets, with the channel's revenue being as high as $3 million per year. Things were looking great for the channel, as the family was nothing shy of a success story. A story that in March of 2019 revealed its biggest plot twist. It was around this time that Michelle's biological daughter, Megan, had noticed some concerning signs with the kids. Megan was no longer living with her mother when they operated the channel.
Yeah,
but she would
for real,
often
Meg.
visit and occasionally even appear in the family sketches. And on these visits, she started to realize that many of the children showed signs of abuse. And so, concerned for her adopted siblings, Megan decided to call authorities and report the potential abuse. And it's a good thing she did. Police would end up making a welfare check at the house that revealed the shocking abuse the children were being put through. The welfare check showed that the kids had been forced into making these YouTube videos.
Told you.
To the point where Michelle had actually pulled the majority of them out of school.
Why wouldn't you? Because mommy's making money, so fuck my kids' education. We need more ad revenue.
So that they would have more time to create content. If one of the kids refused to participate, they would be beaten with belts and coat hangers, and even Michelle's own fists. The same would be done to the kids if they stuttered or messed up one of their lines. It's absolutely appalling, and the fact that each of these children were adopted makes one question if this channel was her motive for adopting so many kids, so that she could use them to create content. But the abuse is far worse than just what I've told you. When police entered the home, they found each of the children to be extremely malnourished, being starved and dehydrated. One kid was also found trapped inside of a dark closet with a diaper on, which was supposedly one of their usual punishments. In Michelle's room, there was a closet that had a deadbolt lock on the outside. The children would be put inside of there and locked in the darkness for days, without food, water, or even a place to use the bathroom. They would either have to go in diapers or on the floor. And all this was done if they were reluctant in any part of the filming process. And the punishments continue. They would also be forced into taking ice baths, and if they tried to get out, Michelle would hold their heads underwater for extended periods of time, nearly to the point of drowning these kids. A few of the boys had also told police that Michelle had forcefully grabbed them by their private parts and pinched them so hard to the point that they'd bleed. It's absolutely horrendous to imagine, and it's not even the worst punishment they'd face. Michelle also kept multiple cans of pepper spray in the house.
What the
when
fuck?
The children would misbehave,
okay, this lady needs 100 years, no parole.
And not just a little bit. She would cover their entire body from head to toe, with one of the adopted daughters reporting that Michelle had even sprayed her inside of her private area, which
this lady needs 100 years, no parole.
For days. It's unimaginable, and all this abuse was orchestrated by Michelle to virtually make her adopted children slaves to work on this YouTube channel and make her millions. This revelation instantly made
I don't know
this
what
channel
state this was
one of
in.
the darkest on the platform, with it being so twisted that YouTube ended up terminating it not long after the news had broken. If only they took that kind of action with some other accounts. But to add to this morbid story, Michelle would never end up serving a prison sentence.
Here we go.
Thanks for joining us. We're starting with breaking news. Michelle Hobson, the Maricopa woman accused of abusing her adopted kids and forcing them to perform on YouTube videos, died earlier today.
Oh,
Hobson has
that's
been
why.
sick for a while. She suffered a brain injury while in custody months ago and had missed several court dates.
She ended up passing away in November of that year before she could ever face any real consequence. In a story so dark and twisted, Michelle's biological daughter, Megan, was the true hero. She ended up adopting 2 of the kids, with the others being placed in foster care. And without her, this
yeah, I guarantee that brain injury was from somebody beating the fuck out of her in prison.
Would likely still be happening because no one would know. It's a shame that Michelle's twisted truths didn't come out any sooner, as they remained hidden in the shadows for years. But this isn't always the case. Some channels will do their best to try and hide their dark backstories, but their attempts don't even last a day.
Fucking fantastic adventures.
Questioning their legitimacy. But as we'll see from our final channel, even then,
is that
it's
hookah?
Oftentimes too late.
Can somebody tell me what the fuck hookah is?
Final story. The story of Russian pop singer Ziliam Bakev. Born in Chechnya, Bakev grew up with a passion for singing, and those around him knew that he had the voice to make it big.
Hey, what's up, Dr. Ed?
And by 2017, he had already managed to make quite a name for himself in the Russian music scene, scoring a number of hit songs. And all this was accomplished at the age of just 25, making it clear that he had an incredibly promising future ahead. A future that would take
nicotine
a sudden
vapor vibe. Okay.
mysterious
Vapor
detour
pipe.
in August of that year.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
On the 6th of August, Bakev had flown into Grozny to attend his sister's wedding. The special moment was a break in the never-ending grind to make it as a famous singer. But despite the time off, he would soon have to leave for Moscow to attend a talent competition. He would never make it there. Because on the 8th of August, Bakev went out to explore Grozny after the wedding and never came back, with his phone being shut off
Oh,
and
just
all
missing?
of his social media accounts being deactivated. Bakev was at the peak of his career. He was living the life he had always dreamed of, and he just disappeared without a trace or an explanation. Did he run away and start a new life, or was he taken? Nobody knew, as the case became a widespread mystery throughout the region, and it wouldn't go without answers for long, as a break would quickly come in the form of 2 eyewitnesses who had claimed to have seen exactly what happened to Bakev. On the evening of August 8th, 2017, 2 bystanders had witnessed the singer acting in a calm and casual manner. As the bystanders watched, they would witness Bakev as he was approached by SOBR security forces, a rapid reaction military group. A
What?
group that typically handles terrorist threats and other major cases like that.
Why were they even involved?
Witnesses claim that after being confronted by the group, Bakev was then placed in handcuffs, put in the vehicle, and driven off, never to be seen again. A seemingly normal-looking singer being detained by a military group. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it
what
still
kind
doesn't.
Of risk could this young man have posed? And even more strangely, in the days following the alleged arrest, the Chechen government denied these reports and stated that Bakev had not actually been arrested. All this despite the fact that the eyewitnesses were proven to be credible. So what's with the secrecy, and where did Bakev end up? Well, as it turns out, the young pop singer may have found himself in a concentration camp.
What?
It's a shocking idea, and without context, it certainly sounds crazy, but it might actually make sense. At the time of his disappearance, it was said that a shockingly high number of gay men had mysteriously vanished from the region, with many of their whereabouts still being unknown. Because of this, there were rumors floating around Chechnya that gay men in the country were being secretly abducted and held at concentration camps in the area, camps where the victims would be tortured in an attempt to either kill them or turn them straight. And as strange as this all sounds, it's actually true.
We turn now to a story causing global outrage out of the Russian Republic of Chechnya.
A coordinated government campaign to round up and eliminate gay men. He says he was detained.
I don't think I can continue with this one, you guys.
For more than a week.
Well, apparently not, as they are only sent home on the condition that their own families kill them. It's a
Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Let's go to number 3.
I'm so sorry that I've done this. I want you to know.
We'll watch number 3 and possibly 4, and then we'll get into some games, okay?
See how mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.
This chair has been making my ass sore the past couple days. I don't know why.
Sometimes you stumble across a dark channel with
Jesus.
nothing to hide, and oftentimes those can be the most disturbing.
If I saw that guy on the street, I'd be afraid instantly.
Any other cigarette.
This next channel takes us all the way back to the spring of 2006, a time that was essentially the dawn of YouTube. It's a period that has left behind some of the strangest contents on the site, and through it all was a single forgotten account known as Leather Smoke Me, a channel seemingly dedicated to smoking cigarettes. The page shows a man who rarely speaks, as he finds creative ways to smoke, with his very first upload being called Gas Mask Smokin'. The video
Dude, it's crazy to
itself is
think that
quite
there's now 15 years, 16 years worth of crazy underground weird as fuck channels to find like this.
uneventful, as this man does exactly what the title says. He smokes a cigarette with the use of a gas mask. And though it's clearly a fairly extreme way of smoking, it's nothing compared to what we'd see in his following videos. Throughout his first year, this man would smoke cigars out of his nose, smoke multiple cigarettes in his mouth, and even a combination of both. It is definitely a strange thing to watch, especially all these years later. But in the realm of early YouTube, it was nothing all that crazy. However, as the years would go by, we would see Leather Smoke Me continue to push boundaries and find new ways to smoke more and more. At one point, he even built a contraption that allowed him to smoke 10 cigarettes at a time. It's really a shocking thing to see, just the way things progressed throughout the early years of this channel, especially knowing the effects that just smoking on an average basis can have on your body. But as time went on, his smoking habits weren't the only noticeable change. In the beginning, we can see that this man looks to be clearly an adult, but definitely isn't all that old. And just based off of the footage provided, he seems to be in decent health, or at least as healthy as someone can be with the lifestyle he was living. But as time goes on, his appearance starts to slowly change. He begins to look much older, with
Hey, what's up,
noticeable
Faye? No, you didn't walk in at a bad time. We're just watching YouTube's darkest channels. But hey, Faye, remember the game that you originally came in here with, Fatal Frame 2? I might be playing that tonight. If not, we'll play some Resident Evil. Maybe some Inferno. But we'll see.
aging within his face, and along with this, his appearance becomes much more fragile, to the point where this man looks to be completely withered, even having a noticeable bandage on his neck in his later videos. And all this happened in the span of just a few years, yet it seems like he's aged a lifetime. By 2011, Leather Smoke Me just looks like a shell of a person, but he just kept on smoking and uploading these
Appreciate that, Faye.
videos. I mean, his upload frequency
Yeah,
was
Faye, you remember that was the very first game you ever came in here with. I still remember, and I even remember the room I was in when you first popped in. It was that door right in the very first house that you go into. I was trying to leave, and then I turned around and found out that I was supposed to see Mayu in the middle of the floor there, like that first floor. And then you showed up and you said, hey, what's up?
crazy, considering that in just 5 short years, he would post around 229 videos without ever taking any major time away. Something that is somewhat surprising, especially for a channel as small as Leather Smoke Me's. But nonetheless, he seemed to just love making these videos, and he just kept on smoking. Until video 195. In it, we see the unrecognizable man smoking a single cigarette while listening to Lady Gaga's Alejandro. By the ending, the song finishes, and he attempts to speak to his audience, but his words are impossible to understand. The video was posted on July 10th, 2011, with the caption, "Still here and still smoking." This would be the final video he'd ever post. The red flags here are obvious. An obsessive smoker who was withering before our eyes and just randomly stopped posting on a channel that was so clearly one of his life's passions. It's not hard to speculate on what became of him, and just by following the trail he left behind, the evidence confirms my dark suspicion. In a video uploaded on January 31st of 2011, we see this smoker looking especially ill, something that is confirmed by his description, where he says, "My return after cancer surgery." He elaborates more on this in the
I
following
played
video
hardcore.
when he writes, "Hey guys, after a 6-month battle with oral cancer, I'm still here and still smoking. Dave." With this information, we know that Dave had cancer, a cancer likely caused by his rampant smoking. Yet even through a major surgery, he was still continuing to smoke these cigarettes, doing the very thing that likely led to his failing health in the first place. And as it turns out, the cancer would prove to be fatal. I wanted to let Dave's friends on here know that he passed away last night. I have good memories of our friendships over the last 11 years, and he will be missed. This comment, along with multiple others on the
I
channel,
feel like smoking is a
addressed
lot less common in our age group, Mag. Like, people that are in their mid to late 20s now, that were born in like the early to mid 90s. I feel like we got drilled into our heads so many times about how bad smoking is for you that we just never really did it. I dated somebody that chain smoked and it was awful, but I've never personally smoked ever.
Dave all seem to confirm
Not
what many
cigarettes
of us
like
were
that
thinking,
bullshit,
that
or
Dave
cigars or
had
anything.
passed
I've never
away
smoked.
after posting this final video. It's a channel that is probably as dark as it gets. A man documenting the literal thing that would end up
Smoking has always been a deal breaker. Yeah, my dad once told me when I was first starting to date girls that if I started to date a smoker, that kissing them was like licking an ashtray. And I always thought he was being over dramatic or just trying to scare me, but it turned out to be 100% true. When you kiss a chain smoker, it literally, like, it fills your mouth with this weird metal and cigarette smoke essence. I don't fucking know what to call it, but it's disgusting.
And it's so saddening seeing his
Yep.
addiction get to
Yep,
the point
you know, Dave,
that
you know.
even though he
When you know,
knew
you
it
know.
was going to kill him, he just kept on smoking. It's almost as if this channel shows a man in a 5-year-long suicide. Now, though this channel is dark in and of itself, there's a whole other side to this all that might make things even more disturbing. And it's something that initially I had completely missed until I read the following comments. The thread reads, "Smoker with cancer, such a frail man in his late 40s. He loved to smoke." Someone then responds with, "Exactly correct. The man ruined his life. I love it." The original commenter then replies, "Me too. Love the damage that Dave inflicted on his lungs. So f***ing hot. I'm pretty much following in his footsteps. I have an insatiable craving for my smoke." It's a alarming set of comments, as
What?
it's almost as if these people were sexualizing Dave's death and the fact that the smoking had caused this horrible cancer. And it's made even stranger when the commenter says he wanted to follow in his footsteps. It's something that could have easily been chalked up to as a troll, until you realize that throughout many of his videos, even in the beginning, there were similar sexualized comments, with people saying stuff like, "Hot as hell, just missed some lung spit. Hot mate, be great for you to do more vids where we can hear the cough and the wheeze. Hearing that is the hottest thing of all. Keep
Oh,
smoking hard,
Jesus.
fella." And
That is not where I thought this was
he was
going.
starting to show his illness a bit here, with his sunken eyes and getting skinny. Cancer god. Love it when smokers' cancer starts to shrivel them up. Even in YouTube standards, this is a strange comment section. It is
Strange?
clear that
That's putting it a
people
bit
were viewing
mildly.
Dave's cancer and his death as sexually appealing. And after watching this video, I then realized that Dave's entire channel was seemingly meant to be fetishized, as he posts videos of himself showing off his gut and his wheeze for his audience, knowing that they're enjoying it in a sexual way. He even at one point posted this
What's up,
fairly
sick boy?
disturbing clip where he has someone wrapped in latex completely with a gas mask on, and then forces them to smoke. All the while he touches himself in a sexual way that I'm clearly not going to show. But this is definite fetish material. And further going off that, he even subscribed to and linked to a number of other smoking channels that were obvious fetish pages as well, that followed the same mold as him, and he went as far as to put these accounts on his home page. And of the 4 separate channels that he links to that showcase other obsessive smokers, none of them have uploaded in years, making me wonder if they suffered from a similar fate. But ultimately, it proves that Dave created this channel not simply as a hobby, but as a fetish as well. Now, having a smoking fetish is a fairly common thing, but it's easy to tell that this is very different than just that, as these people seem to be aroused by the most disturbing parts of smoking: the coughing, the wheezing, and the eventual cancer and death. Now, I've heard of fetishes where people like to watch others destroy their body,
Yep.
typically from overeating, to the point where they become obese and handicapped, along with others who fetishize the idea of doing that to themselves. They like the feeling of their own body shutting down slowly over time, thanks to their destructive behaviors. Although this is something that I wasn't really sure actually existed. But watching this channel, I can't help but wonder if Dave was into something similar. Maybe he liked the idea of his body decaying due to his smoking, and that's why he did it so obsessively, and continued to do it even when his health began to fail. So maybe this was the end game all along with this fetish, but either way, it's dark no matter what, because on one hand, it may have been his overarching
You know,
goal
though, hearing this, as tragic as this story specifically was, and I promise I'm not trying to make a joke of anything, but this really shows me how normal a foot fetish really is compared to this kind of shit. A foot fetish is like the most normal thing in the world compared to this. You know what I mean?
to end his life by way of cigarette smoking. But on the other hand, if it wasn't, then you just have a group of people who are sexualizing this man's cancer and ultimately his death. But judging by his descriptions and his frequent upload schedule, it's hard to believe that he wasn't at least aware of his audience, even posting videos especially for specific users who left comments making special requests. For his followers, Dave's passing was ultimately something they expected. But for our next channel, the disturbing mark that they would leave came out of nowhere.
Yeah, me too, Mag. Me too.
It was an account that featured sparse and practically unwatched content. The channel's name was Big Money T, and featured just a select few videos by a man named Trent Pashal. Over the course of the next 5 years, it seemed the thing that he would film most was his RC cars and family trips, showcasing his 2 young children, as well as his wife, Savannah.
Thank you, Mag. I appreciate that a lot.
Someone puts on YouTube, so they can look back on and remember their good times with the family. The channel would remain active up until late October of 2020, when it would take the ultimate turn for the worst. Trent would upload a video titled simply by his daughter's full name, as the video was directed at both of Trent's children, as he apologized to them, further stating that this was their mother's fault and that he had caught her cheating.
I'm recording this because I want my daughter to know that I love you.
Oh no.
Pascal. I'm so sorry that I've done this. I want you to know that you mean everything to me. I didn't choose this. Your mom chose this. She's been cheating on me for a long time. I didn't do nothing wrong to her.
It's a clip that you can tell is deeply personal, and probably not something that should be posted for everyone to see.
Yeah.
As at first, many would likely assume that this was in regards to a potential divorce, or something along those lines. But in actuality, what Trent was talking about was far more twisted. On October 21st, 2020, the very day that the video was posted, Trent would hide in the shower of his bathroom, waiting for his wife Savannah to come home.
Oh no.
Once Savannah had entered the bathroom, Trent would jump out, pulling a gun and firing twice, hitting her in the stomach. Savannah would later pass away due to her injuries. Immediately after the murder, Trent would post this video to his children, apologizing for murdering their own
Oh, he
mother,
did?
while
Oh my
at
God.
the same time blaming her for all this happening.
This was after he did it?
Everything into this relationship. I have done nothing to your mom. I've never hit her. I've never hurt her. I've never called her names.
Throughout the video, Trent appears to cry on multiple occasions, although no tears actually fall.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Oh
I'm like,
God, this
why?
guy's...
My hair's a mess and I look horrible.
You're concerned about that?
I'm sorry. Take these off.
And it comes across as completely emotionless, as he shows no remorse for killing his wife and the mother of his kids. It's also made all the more disturbing, as he's clearly more focused on his hair and his looks, all the whilst he's...
Yeah, really. All he needs, Dave, is the thicker prescription glasses, and he's literally Bubbles.
He's a good man.
No, a true YouTube apology has to start like this. Here's a true YouTuber apology. You got to show them turning on the camera, and then they walk in front of the camera, and then they sit down, and they go. Guys, I don't know how I'm going to make this video. That's a YouTuber apology. turn the camera on, walk in front of the frame, sit down, and then big exhaustive sigh.
I'm hurting so bad.
Yeah, get a pet, get your dog in the frame.
I didn't do nothing wrong to her. I provided what I could. I've done what I could for her. I've done nothing but good for her. And I've treated y'all good. I've done good things for y'all.
After the video would go live, Trent would then call Savannah's aunt to confess to his crime and then take off from the home. Police would later find Trent at a local Walmart where he would pull a gun, but before he could shoot, authorities would open fire, striking the man in 3 separate places. And though being in critical condition, he would go on to survive these injuries and is currently awaiting trial. It's a shocking crime and an equally as shocking video, especially given the fact that it was addressed to his young children, who now are without their mother.
My voice is delayed.
Situation. In his final post, Trent can be seen looking to the right very often in a clearly nervous manner until the end when something catches his attention, causing him to grab the phone and run into a dark room before the recording would suddenly stop. And at first, I honestly thought that he was just nervous about the police coming and catching him. But in actuality, I don't think that that's the case. Instead, I think that his nervous looks to the side were being done in anticipation to his wife arriving at home. I say this because when he eventually gets up to hide, it sounds like someone had entered the house.
You love me like your own.
And when he walks into this dark room and shuts the camera off, you can clearly hear what seems to be the movement of a shower curtain. This sound is definitely noteworthy, considering the fact that Trent had hid in his shower before killing his wife. So I personally believe that this whole video was premeditated, and rather than this being filmed right after the murder, he filmed this immediately before, as he likely shot and killed Savannah just moments after stopping the recording. It's a revelation that makes his demeanor all the more surprising, as he shows no remorse, regret, or even that much nervousness for that matter, despite knowing what he's about to do. The video itself quickly went viral as the story became a national talking point, which led to YouTube stepping in and removing Trent's channel altogether, stating multiple community guideline breaches. However, today, this twisted clip can still be found circulating throughout the site.
He was 48.
And as is the case with each of these 3 channels, the videos they have all left behind elicit that same uneasy feeling when you watch them back today, knowing the fate that would soon befall each of them. But out of all these channels, none of them quite match how visually creepy our final page is. The channel's name is Francine Dancer, and before I can even begin to describe her videos, just have a look for yourself. That was a clip taken from her 2010 video called Tomstat Blues 088.
.avi and .wmv is the old.
Scene of a cat stuffed animal playing a keyboard, as well as a lady named Francine playing the guitar and singing. But out of all the elements of this decade-old video, it's clear which one is the most concerning.
The mannequin?
Highlighted within this clip is this off-looking, lifelike figure standing nearly motionless. However, there are certain moments where it appears to be moving, likely as a result of Francine dancing alongside it. It's unclear upon initial viewing what exactly this thing is, but the way it just stands there in such a limp manner implies that whatever it is, it's likely not alive.
It just looks like a
It's
mannequin.
a figure that makes this video extremely unpleasant to watch, and as we're about to see, this wasn't the only clip that would feature it. In fact, in her very next upload, Francine gives us a closer look.
Yeah, it's just a mannequin.
It's something to me that appears completely unrecognizable. I mean, the figure does look very mannequin-like. However, this face is like no other mannequin I've ever seen. It looks dirty,
Yeah, it looks
almost
homemade.
decrepit. And to make things even darker, this thing appears to be hung by the ceiling. Francine would go on to post 4 total videos featuring this thing before abandoning the channel altogether, having gone unnoticed by the majority of the platform. Well, that was until just recently, when some of these clips were picked up and shared across TikTok, throwing the channel and its strange contents into the limelight. Without context, many felt frightened, with the majority looking to the comments for guidance as to what was happening within these videos. And there, many would share the supposed story of Francine. The story goes that Francine used to be a star on TV, before the partner she performed with eventually passed away, essentially ending the show that the two had made together, and thus ending Francine's lifelong dream of
Okay, but
becoming
where
an
are clips of
actress.
this show?
This would cause Francine to suffer a mental collapse, leading her to steal the body before it was buried and hiding it within her home. Once there, she would film these videos to relive the show that they once had in a desperate showing of
This is
denial,
creepypasta
until
territory.
eventually police would intervene and take the body back, leading to the arrest of Francine. Now, normally, something as outlandish as this could easily be chalked up as an internet myth, but in actuality, someone would link to a separate video posted back in 2007, and in it we see her performing with a tall, lanky man who has the same body type as this figure.
That's not, no.
The figure is
That's,
always shown
no.
wearing a bleach blonde wig, which one would imagine that if this man were to wear a similar wig, then the resemblance would certainly be there. It's a story that is extremely haunting, and
I
if
don't
true,
buy it.
would certainly be one of the darkest internet mysteries found to date. But in actuality, it's really anything but. Just by doing some light research, it's revealed that Francine Dancer was in fact a star on TV, but not in the traditional sense. It seems that Francine had starred in a number of public access television shows in LA, where she would become somewhat of a household name thanks to these bizarre shows that she would put together. And these shows were very similar to what we see on her YouTube page, and not just from a content perspective. They are all similar because they both feature the same figure. And the show didn't just run more than a decade ago. It seems that it was actually active as of 2018. And within the clip, we can see Francine dance with not only that notorious lifelike mannequin, but with a new one as well. It's a revelation that completely disproves the myth that this thing was actually a corpse, a theory that baselessly spread around thanks to a few people trying to get a cheap scare out of it. But even though this is the case, what is the actual purpose of this? What are we actually watching here? Well, in other clips posted to YouTube, we see that this figure's name is actually Starry Dancer. It is essentially just a dressed up and painted mannequin. In one episode, Starry is even described as Francine's boyfriend. But ultimately, it seems pretty clear that this is all just an act. It's not an ARG or anything that's meant to be scary. It's just a bizarre, funny show that was really only made creepy due to its lack of context and false stories. And sure, the mannequin is still quite creepy, but the strangeness of it all has helped to propel Francine into a household name for many, while being completely harmless.
Fact. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. Let's watch the video.
January 3rd, 2021. Installment number 3 of YouTube's Darkest Channels is released.
I legit am scared.
The episode showcased multiple disturbing accounts, with one in particular being Leather Smoke Me, an account run by a man who, along with his fans, fetishized his own deterioration and subsequent death due to smoking.
Same, Dr. Red.
Before this video aired, I would briefly explore the entirety of this smoking fetish community, discovering a countless number of these channels participating in it, with one of which being run by a 19-year-old high school student named Dylan Pontney, by far the youngest person I had ever seen taking part in this. I would only watch one of his videos in passing, using that along with many others as evidence that this trend did in fact exist. However, at the time, I could have never known how twisted that obscure channel truly was, and how much darker it would get, as just a few months later, Dylan's life would take a disturbing turn, and one that would forever immortalize his channel as one of YouTube's darkest. Before we get too far into this...
No, not Raycons. No. One of my IRL friends is talking about Raycons. And he was like, bro, I love my Raycons. I'm like, look at the time, dude. The time is flying by. Oh no. I must go. I'm sorry.
Sponsor Raycon. Raycon, the link in the... Try them today, practically risk-free.
Anytime I see the ad starting, I warm up the wrist and just start mashing. Mashing the left or right keys, dude.
Addicted to dying slower. This was the caption for Dylan Pontney's first video on Instagram, as he's shown taking a long drag of his cigarette. And looking back, it was this account that provides the context needed to understand Dylan, as well as his YouTube channels, as videos like this were the basis of his content, and those watching absolutely loved it. Commenters would say things like, "Looking good, man. You're so sexy, addicted lung. Your face is cute." And "Very hot smoker. Smoker fetish?" He would never respond to that final question, though the answer wasn't hard to find. Dylan would post these videos shirtless, while acknowledging and thanking the fans who were leaving sexual comments, even mentioning a potential start of an OnlyFans account.
Oh no.
He knew what he was doing, and his account was a fetish page through and through, but not in the way that you would typically expect. Dylan clearly loved smoking, but more specifically the dark side effects that came with it, as he would hashtag things like cancer and lung, as well as even stating outright that he thought cancer was good. And he was being serious too, as he'd even take pictures of the warning labels on cigarette packages, which featured photos of withering and dying individuals, as they were designed to scare people away. But rather than deterring him, Dylan would openly say how much he loved the sight of them, as it showed what could happen to him someday, an idea that Dylan absolutely
Hey,
loved.
sick boy, come get your man. Dude, what the hell is up with this guy? Come get your mans. Canadian motherfucker. French-Canadian, I think.
Dylan Pontney wanted to get cancer and die before his audience's eyes, much like Leather Smoke Me had done years before, along with many others across the web, with his Instagram providing all the context we need, context that would make his YouTube channels all the more concerning. Dylan had 3 channels, one of which going under the same name as his Instagram, along with another called Jericho Chris, the same account that I had found way back when researching in December. And both accounts consisted mainly of his smoking videos. And quickly, Dylan would start to amass a few hundred views per video, as viewers were watching eagerly to see the young man begin to wither. It's a concept that's dark enough, especially considering his age. But as mentioned, Dylan had 3 total channels, with his third proving to be the darkest. The channel would go by the name of Juniper Crossing, and again feature more smoking clips. Only, unlike his other pages, these clips didn't make up the majority of his content. In fact, the channel itself was dedicated to a whole other rabbit hole here on YouTube.
Oh god.
And it's one that we've been down before.
Why do I feel like it's gonna be cutting? But before, let me spot check this.
See what I'm talking about? That is true power and true free will.
Oh no, another one of these guys. Like the dude with the Gabby Giffords thing. Oh, for sure, Mag. I mean, it's actually insane how much older smoking makes people look, even when they're like in their early 20s. It ages you like 10 plus years to be smoking like that.
is true power and true free will. Basically, we're all trapped on an iron grid. Our cells are literally keeping us trapped on planet Earth. You need to get to the center of the flat Earth before you're dead, or you will expire.
What in God's green flat earth is this? I'm sorry.
Blood Over Intent, Proof of Life, Quasi-Luminous. This was the title of Dylan's second upload to the Juniper Crossing channel that would go live back in December of 2021, clearly in reference to what has now become one of the largest and most intriguing rabbit holes on all of YouTube. We explored the mystery way back in the day, the Cult of Saturn. It's a group that believes an apocalyptic event is imminent, and the only way to survive is to put your name in Satan's Book of Life, a book reserved for the first 144,000 people
No
who
thanks.
partake in a ritual known as Blood Over Intent. For the ritual, you write your intentions down on a sheet of paper and then spill your blood over it, which supposedly manifests your intentions.
Dude, not in a million
as well
fucking
as
years
puts
would
your
I do
name
this.
in the Book of Life,
Not in a million
essentially
fucking years.
securing your salvation. But in order for it to fully work, you must record the ritual and post it here on YouTube. It's one of the
I know,
first
it's
big
terrible
rabbit
streaming
holes that
this.
we explored on the channel, and it was uncovered that the man behind the whole movement is named Mark Braun, or as he goes by on YouTube, Quasi-Luminous, which Dylan references in the title of his video. Mark believes that he is Satan himself, and the followers of this movement believe the same, despite the fact that in reality he's just a genuinely disturbed guy. Now, fellow YouTuber Blame It On Jorge has, in my opinion, the best breakdown of this mystery, so I recommend watching his video on it for further details. But all in all, it's an incredibly twisted community, something that became even more apparent to me, as every now and then I still receive bizarre threats from certain members of the group, despite having posted that video over a year ago.
Okay, we're skipping this. That part.
Into one of YouTube's darkest cults. And what's also obvious when watching these videos is there's a real anger to Dylan, which is fully on display when he jams the pin through his finger, as well as on his Instagram page. We can see that his bedroom walls are filled with holes, likely as a result of Dylan punching them. He was clearly dealing with some very serious issues in regards to his mental health, and unfortunately, things would only escalate from this point on. From here, he'd begin to fall down into a conspiracy rabbit hole, posting about the Earth being flat, stating that humans are being farmed, and that our world is just one big prison. Theories that he would begin to push more and more on his channel as time went on.
Dave, you got a black badge, dude. Mag gave us a new sub badge. You're finally off the red badge, dude. 9 months is black and white.
Appeared to be the deterioration of Dylan's mind, and posts that would all lead us to his final upload, a video that will forever prove to be the darkest he'd ever make. On the morning of March 15th, 2010, Dylan would post a video titled "Smoking in a Car Full Vid." It would feature no further description. The clip shows as Dylan jokes around with his father on their way to Dylan's school as he enjoys his early morning cigarette, which in his words was the best way to start the day. He then asks his dad if they could visit his nana after school, and the two would start to plan out their day.
Are we going to Nana's place after? Are we supposed to? Maybe. You want to go there for a visit? Yeah.
Dylan then finishes his cigarette before shutting off the camera. He would never post again. Not just on his YouTube account, but on his Instagram as well. In fact, no social media belonging to Dylan would ever be updated from this moment on.
Started smoking at 14,
he
he
said. Live
said.
as soon as Dylan would get dropped off at school, and from there he would start his day as usual. That morning he would sit in his classroom at Christ the King High School, the same way he would do any other school day. Only today was different. For reasons unknown, at roughly 9:30 a.m., Dylan would stand up from his chair before pulling a knife out of his backpack.
Oh,
right
God.
in the middle of class.
Well.
He would then from the Blood Over Intent group, literally saying that they praised Dylan despite the fact that he was a known murderer at this point, something that if you were in his comment sections, you couldn't miss. The Juniper Crossing channel stands today as a dark look into the mind of a truly disturbed individual, someone who dedicated his life to a satanic cult, someone who wanted the world to see him slowly die on his channel, and someone who would mercilessly kill not even 2 hours after posting his final video. And unfortunately,
dude, coffee and
signs were
cigarettes
there
at once is
all
just
along.
like, God.
But this isn't always the norm. In fact, typically
Austin
just the
Jones. I know all about this motherfucker, dude. There's nothing you even need to tell me about Austin Jones. This motherfucker posted covers of emo bands and stuff like 21 Pilots, whatever you could possibly imagine. He was asking his fans for twerking videos, and he was in a group called My Digital Escape where a couple other people got outed for sexual harassment. And he actually ended up getting 10 years in jail for child pornography because he was asking underage fans for twerking videos, but he was asking them to take their clothes off while twerking. Punchable motherfucking face. But I want you guys to hear this. I already know about this guy, but I want you guys to hear it from the horse's mouth. Yeah, we could watch a quick video about Austin Jones because I was talking about him.
I'm sure you've heard the name by now. I'm not here to break the news. The entire platform already beat me to that, but I am here to discuss it nonetheless. And here is my opening statement. Austin Jones is a fucking manipulative scumbag who I have zero remorse for, and I hope each one of his fans discovers who he really is in the next coming days. Is it too late now to say sorry?
Yeah, this cringe shit. Okay, first of all, the judge should have added 5 years just for this hair. You're the sucker that has to be on camera weekly. I'm actually super comfortable with being on camera now. Should have added a 5-year prison sentence just for this hair alone.
Austin Jones is a YouTube artist with over 500k subs that has recently been arrested on 2 counts of production of child pornography. In June 2015,
What is that
Austin
hair?
posted an apology video because it had gotten out that he had tried to make underage fans twerk for him through messages. This began because one girl he was trying to convince to twerk told him she did not know how to twerk. So what did this good Samaritan do? He sent her a video tutorial
On how to do it.
On how to twerk.
Oh my God.
Hey cutie.
Just confirms again, if any male, adult male says the word cutie, run. Here's Austin Jones saying cutie.
On how to twerk.
Hey cutie, so this is like the first basic twerk move. So this is what you do. You stand with your legs apart.
Fucking cutie.
And then you arch your back and you unarch it. You do it faster. So it's like this.
Oh shit, is that Lexi Pantera? Yeah, just in case you didn't get it, let me give you the side view. Make sure to keep eye contact with the camera.
Now it's your turn.
Alright, so Discount Dylan Sprouse sent this to the girl and she refused to twerk. And she actually ended up saving the video and posting it on her Twitter. And then it started making rounds on Twitter, and when it got back to Austin, he came back to the girl begging her to take it
Yeah, he's like, Ashley, please take down the video. The way that he says Ashley.
down.
Ashley, can you please delete the tweet, please? I'm freaking out right now, please.
He tried to reason with her, saying he would expose himself and all his wrongs in 2 months if she took everything down. And she said no because she wanted him to do it immediately. And you might be asking, well, why the hell would he even want to wait 2 months? What difference?
Because he's going on tour.
And the most likely answer is that he was about to go on tour. And you wouldn't want to ruin that now, would you? And thankfully, this girl gave 0 fucks because, well, she eventually ended up deleting everything and then reposting it again a week later. So while little Austin was on tour, there was a shitstorm brewing on the internet.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, 2 months later, Austin releases his apology.
Setting the record
Now, I
straight
put
is what he called it.
apology in quotations because the entire video, he's being a cunning little shit. Because what does he do as soon as he brings up what he did wrong? He takes the Ode to Catch a Predator route and starts talking about how shitty his life has been. And has the balls to preface that by saying, I'm not bringing this up to draw sympathy.
My parents divorced at a very, very young age.
My mother's very
Fresh cut. Thank you, man.
started planning my suicide.
I've just been really depressed lately. I don't know what I was
I
thinking.
had an older sister. She passed away when she was 10 years old. I barely saw my
Everything in my
father.
life is
My
just
father was an
soft
alcoholic.
spoken
My
bad
family
job.
passed away when I was 16.
And isn't it funny how people see these
Oh, that's a
guys
cool
make
edit.
these types of excuses, and their first reaction is, stick it up your ass, you pedophile. But then see this pretty boy singer in his early 20s and think, wow.
Poor guy. Yep,
Now,
I knew it.
granted, the majority of the support most likely came from his young, impressionable fan base. But that's the problem. They gave him the benefit of the doubt as he fed them a sob story. Now, everything he described does sound horrible. It doesn't sound like anything easy to deal with. But once you cross the line, I stopped caring about how you got there. I also find it difficult to find the connection between my dad passed away and now I manipulate underage girls into getting naked for me. That is TCAP logic at its finest. I call bullshit. How the likes even top the dislikes on this video boggles my mind. This is almost as bad as Jake Paul's retarded apology for his music video.
Oh my god, I didn't think he'd drop that word.
Bullying him to the suicide of a random child. Oh, go fuck a Lamborghini, you cunt. I mean, do you guys not get it? They use these touchy subjects as a shield, because if I do something wrong and bring up suicide or depression and you have something to say about it, you have no heart. You don't think depression's real. You're belittling suicide. We lose sight of the real issue at hand. I can't change Austin's shitty past, but in the present, we can protect multiple victims' futures.
Ugh.
Austin is being charged for 2 separate incidents. One from 2016, just a little over a year after his apology video, and another incident that occurred just last month. The incidents involve Austin using—
What was that? Another victim was pressured into performing similar sexually explicit acts on video in August 2016. When the girl said that she didn't want to get in trouble over it, Jones allegedly said, "I guess you really aren't my biggest fan. Okay then," before threatening to leave the chat. Wow. That victim allegedly sent Jones about 25 videos via Facebook.
Video, and another incident
Yeah,
that
he's in
occurred
jail.
just last month. The incidents involve Austin using every tactic in the book to try and get his underage fans to twerk for him sexually. First tactic, false hope. He referred to their twerking videos as auditions, tryouts, to see who's his biggest fucking fan, I guess. And previously, I've mentioned in the videos where I covered the To Catch a Predator predators that they are most likely not all quote-unquote pedophiles, because I believe some of them just found somebody willing to fulfill their sexual desires and it got the best of them. Does that excuse them? No.
Hey, what's up, Dr.
With
Grimm?
Austin, there's no mistaking what truly turns him on here. Austin writes, "Now you need an intro to the video. At the beginning, get super close and say these lines. Hey Austin, it's," we'll just call her Janet, "and this butt is blank years old," and then make it clap for 30 seconds. Got it? And it gets worse, because after she sends him a video, he's like, "Yeah, I see what you were trying to do, but I really want you to emphasize how old you are." Second tactic, encouragement. "You must be so happy right now." You know when someone gets a new job or some shit,
What
and then
the
somebody
fuck?
else says, "Oh, you must be so happy." And we're all kind of fucking idiots because we pause and think about it like, yeah, I guess I am pretty happy, yeah. Third tactic, motivation? The victim tells Austin she's tired and wants to fucking sleep, probably a school night. But Austin says 1 more hour for tonight. And he starts asking her if she's given up. He starts telling her to take this seriously, to work really hard. Fourth tactic, shame.
Ladies, fuck going on a diet. You are beautiful as you are right in this moment. Don't ever think otherwise, okay?
Austin's greedy, so after every video he gets, he just keeps
Fishing for a
finding
Dexter
something
Morgan.
wrong with the last one and tells her
Channel
to
name this dude funny. Mr. GG. Mr. GG. I'm gonna drop a sub. I like this guy a lot.
To one of the videos, he responds, "I don't hear any clapping." Yeah, that's because she's a middle schooler and not Cherokee. Austin then says this, "In your honest opinion, do you think your butt..."
Oh my god. Jones and victim A then had the following exchange. Jones, in your honest opinion, do you think your butt is good enough to give guys boners? Victim A, yes, I have given guys boners with it many times. Jones, it hasn't given me one yet. That's why I'm concerned. She said, damn it. He said, I guess try harder. Add more lines. What the fuck? That's why I'm concerned.
is good enough to give guys boners? Yes, I have given guys boners with it many times. It hasn't given me a boner yet. That's why I'm concerned. Damn it. Guess try harder. Add more lines while you bounce if you think that'll help. And somehow, how about I try no underwear? I won't show anything. Yeah, you can try that. Yeah. Yeah, you think that'll help? Yeah. And at this point, Austin is so concerned and distraught that he has to remind her. Okay, go make it clap super loud and talk about your age the whole time. Got it? Clap it super loud and say these lines. I'm only blank years old. Yeah,
what
only
the
blank years old.
fuck is this guy's
ass is only
problem?
blank
He was
years old.
obsessed
And
with the age
victim
part.
ends up sending him multiple videos in different outfits and positions. Now, the second victim gets dealt the fifth tactic, making them feel special. Wait, you're 14? Yeah, I'm a youngster. We'll just call this girl Johanna. Johanna, do you realize how lucky you are? I seriously shouldn't even be talking to you. Johanna tells Austin that she is his biggest fan, and he's like, all right, well, now you gotta prove you're my biggest fan. And Austin very quickly turns the conversation into his favor, saying, think about how amazing that would be for you to have your favorite singer spanking your ass. If you're lucky, maybe I'd let you suck my dick. And then Austin instructs her that she would have to keep proving that she is his biggest fan. He is grooming this girl into being some sort of fucking cyber sex slave. Tactic number 6, threats.
I think he got 10 years.
To do all that he wanted her to do, and he replied, I guess you really aren't my biggest fan. Okay then. He even threatens to leave the chat if she doesn't follow directions. So she sends him a video.
Yeah, hey, where's 911? This motherfucker over here. Where they at?
And he responds, bounce again and smile at the camera while you bounce. Maybe you should lead by example, Austin. We're still not even at the worst part, by the way. He tells her to spread her ass cheeks and then clap them together. But he's like, no, wait. Just spread your ass cheeks for 10 seconds. Tactic number 7. It's just a joke, bro. Your wedgie has to be good enough so that when you spread your cheeks, it shows the edges of your butthole. Oh my god, that would be so funny. You ever watch Seinfeld?
How old was Austin? He was like 27 when this happened.
Mentions that she's getting a bit of a wedgie doing this, and he responds, oh my god, then just take them off. Should you just not wear any bottoms at all? Your butthole would look much better then. I'm just trying to help you. I know you're trying your hardest to prove you're my biggest fan, and I don't want to have to find someone else. Are you picking up on the similarities?
Guilt tripping. Yeah.
And To Catch a Predator chat logs? It'll be so funny if you do it without them. Like, as soon as you spread them, oh my god, we'll both laugh. Have a jolly old time. You just showed me your butthole. Trying to help you so much. I have to see your butthole to know for sure that you care.
Oh my god. I did not remember that he said that. He sent this. What the hell is fucking wrong with this guy? This is one of the weirdest goddamn exchanges I've ever seen in my life. Jeffrey Jones? I don't know, dude.
Can I just keep the underwear on until I get where I bend over and spread my cheeks and then just pull them back up before I stop the video? Yes, but spread for a good 15 seconds. 15 seconds? 15 seconds? Austin, have you ever felt a dry butthole? It's not a good feeling. Like when you get a breeze into your ass and it like dries up your butthole. Like it's the most unpleasant feeling. Can anybody second that? No? Anybody? I bet you had no idea when you met me that just one day later, you'd get to show me your butthole.
How special do you feel, dude?
How special do you feel? Is there any way you can show your butthole and get it closer to the camera? Do you know how to flex your butthole? Try it. Squeeze your butthole and then unsqueeze it and repeat it a bunch. I want to be able to smell your asshole through the phone. I want your anus to do fucking Tybo so I can jack my sweaty cock.
Just remember, everyone has a butthole.
And that is pretty much it. Keep in mind, I skipped parts. And the sad thing about this
This guy is a fucking freak, man.
There's no fucking way. I found this girl on Twitter who said she has actually done an interview about Austin that should be coming out soon because he had asked her to twerk for him in the past. Who knows how many times he has pulled this shit.
Yeah, this guy thought he was untouchable too.
Austin is pretty much guaranteed to serve a minimum of 15 years in prison, and I hope it's fucking longer than that. Austin, you are a shit splat of a human being. Wasted air. The epitome of a limo driver. Wasted potential, really, because the guy is talented. And now, nobody gives a shit. Those Vine loops ain't worth shit behind bars. And speaking of Vine, look how eerily similar the pattern of this video is. You're not new to this, and you weren't planning on fucking stopping. I mean, look at the last video you uploaded before your arrest. How ironic. Some people don't deserve and can't handle the type of power that big YouTubers have. The power where they can manipulate hundreds
Yeah, some people can't be trusted with that power.
An impressionable audience. Some people take advantage of that, and we've seen it time and time again. So, to all the naive and the youngins that may be watching this video right now, be fucking careful out there. There's a lot of fucking weirdos, okay? There's a lot of fucking weirdos out there. And thankfully, we just locked one more up.
I'm a different person. I've completely changed from all of that. I don't know how to show you guys that, but I think with time, you'll see.
And he continued doing it after that video, by the way. Ordered Jones released to his mother's custody on a $100,000 bond. He will be placed on 24-hour home confinement at his mother's home and barred from using the internet while the charges are pending, including use of any social media.
Thanks for watching, guys. Episode 16 will be out soon. I have a lot of upcoming news, but I want to keep this
Dude, just imagine.
Short, so very quickly.
Just imagine if Austin Jones actually gets out someday. What? He's going to be like 30. Let's see. He's 29 right now, and he got 10 years in 2019. So he'll be out in 7 years. So he'll be 36 years old when he gets out. He'll be pushing 40 by the time he gets out of jail. Holy shit. A lot of celebrities, yeah. I like how when you search his name, Brian Stars and Onision also show up. That's a bad look. It still says American musician. Jesus Christ, man. This is what he showed up in court looking like. The first time around. And then he showed up looking like this. Fucking guy, dude. Shit splat for sure. No question about it. Exactly, Dave. Yeah. We can only hope, right? Dude, I can only imagine the kind of shit he goes through in jail. It's not like they don't know why he's there. Damn, man. There's a video of him actually walking out right here.
More Instagram followers. 2 of the girls spoke today. They tearfully explained to the judge they have been through hell. Both say they have struggled with self-harm and suicidal thoughts. They say Jones preyed on their low self-esteem, and they are ashamed. The girls' parents today also spoke up, saying this is a parent's worst nightmare. They called Jones a predator with fame.
Oh my god, that fucking hair, dude. Add 5 years for it alone. In the merry land of Oz. Oh my god, dude. This guy. Piece of work. Shit splat is a good, shit splat's a good descriptor for him.
But for our next creator, he never tried to hide the fact that he had a much darker career outside of YouTube. In fact, he practically put it on display for the world to see. The channel
Exactly,
takes us
Mac.
to the
Exactly.
Mexican state of Jalisco, the hometown of an up-and-coming rapper known as QBA.
Oh, I know
His
about
real
this guy.
name was Christian Omar Palma Gutierrez, but most called him by his stage name, as his YouTube channel would go by QBA Official.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything,
It was on
though.
this channel where he would begin to make a name for himself. Starting back in 2015, the young rapper would lean on the site to promote his music and share it across the world, and that's exactly what would happen. At the moment, he has songs across the site with over 10 million views, and on his own channel, he has multiple music videos that have amassed anywhere from 2 to 5 million views apiece. In Mexico, he was a full-blown star, as he'd rap about violence, gang activities, and drugs, something not too uncommon in that era of Mexican hip-hop. Though with these dark lyrics came a problem.
Derrick
YouTube
Rose
would
jersey.
not monetize QBA's music, meaning that though he was getting millions of views, it said that at his peak, QBA was only making a mere $300 a month, nowhere near enough to bank on full-time. Making matters more difficult, the young rapper had recently gotten married and had a child, and with the wage he was making on YouTube, he knew that he would have to take on another job to help his family financially. So in 2018, he would begin a side gig as a car mechanic.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
going to
be a lot worse.
$80 to $100 a week. But as QBA
$100 per
struggled
week?
to pay his bills, a scandal had broken out in that same area where he lived. In February of 2018, 3 university students had gone out
God.
to film a school project, with the group settling on a somewhat remote region of Jalisco, QBA's home state. It was a trip that they would never return from, as they vanished into the night. The disappearance was shocking, and especially concerning as the 3 students were last seen being led to a vehicle by armed police officers, with the big issue being that there were no patrol cars in that area, and no cops either for that matter. Instead, the group had been kidnapped by fake officers.
Oh my
and hadn't
God.
been seen since entering the vehicle.
I didn't hear
The
this
case
part.
would gain national attention, as many assumed that the 3 had been killed, though no bodies had been discovered. In fact, no bodies would be discovered, or could be for that matter. And oddly enough, this was all thanks to QBA. When the rapper had taken up a job as a car mechanic, he would become close to his boss, a man named El Cochi, and seeing that the young man was struggling financially, he would offer him another job, one that would pay $160 a week, far more than he even made on YouTube, with the position being titled as a cook.
Oh.
But it's not the cook that you would normally expect, as instead, El Cochi had worked for the notorious Jalisco New Generation Cartel, a gang known as one of Mexico's most dangerous and violent, and the cooks were the low men on the totem pole, being practically relegated to dirty work and cleanup. Immediately after taking up the job, those 3 film students would go out to film on that fateful day, in which they had no idea that they were stepping on this gang's land, right in a location where the cartel was expecting another gang to show up. And thinking the students were with that gang, the Jalisco group would kidnap them, posing as police officers. Upon being kidnapped, the group would begin to torture them one by one, as they desperately tried to get info on the gang that the 3 were working for, a gang that none of these students
Knew
had
about.
any connection to, meaning that as they were being tortured for answers, they quite literally had nothing they could say. There was no information they could give, something that caused the violence to get so extreme that one student would ultimately be tortured to death. Realizing their mistake, the gang members would shoot the other 2 in cold blood to remove any possibility of this info getting out. The 3 film students had been murdered, and ultimately for no reason at all. It was at this moment that the gang would call upon QBA, the fresh new cook. He would be tasked with cleaning up the bodies of the 3 students in a way that would assure that they could never be found. So he one by one placed the bodies in large barrels and proceeded to fill them with acid. The acid would break down the chunks of flesh into a soup-like consistency,
Christ.
turning the kids into a substance that was completely unrecognizable to what they once were. before pouring the human soup down a storm drain.
Why did he
rinsed
say that?
away and never to be seen again.
Why did he say human soup?
Following the completion of the job, QBA would continue rapping and posting his music onto YouTube, with these works being especially dark as he rapped about living life as a gang member. But before long, the channel would go silent, having had no uploads since, with the main reason being that QBA had been arrested. Unfortunately for him, QBA would be blown in for his role in the crime, essentially becoming the fall guy for the event, as he would eventually admit to having dissolved the bodies, as well as doing the same thing to even more victims, left behind from at least 3 separate hits. In aiding in the case against him, police would actually use snippets of the songs he'd post to YouTube as evidence on trial.
That's just like
as he
TK.
often rapped about the gang activities, as
Yeah,
well
they
as
use TK's
specific
lyrics, they use
instances
6ix9ine's
that
lyrics
authorities
against
believe
him.
may have actually happened. His persona and his music were no act, and QBA had been rapping from experience. But QBA's channel isn't only dark because his lyrics allude to the lifestyle he was living, but also because, looking back on his situation, you can clearly see that his music was a call for help. In his songs, he would frequently talk about being trapped within the gang, calling it his own hell, and implying that he wanted out, something that, upon agreeing to join, would never have been possible. His music was literally him admitting that something was wrong in his life and that he needed help. But to the millions who listened,
They just thought it was the
only
guy
thought
being
it was
cool.
art, making the channel tragic in its own way. And though this is where QBA's story ends, as he will now spend the rest of his life in prison, forever being known as a what if in the world of hip-hop, the presence of gang and cartel violence is something that is still very apparent on the dark side of YouTube, and it has been for a very long time. Most famously, 17-year-old Juan Luis Leganes Rosales, who had become well known throughout the world of social media, and specifically on YouTube, before releasing a video where he would insult the leader of the very gang that QBA had worked for. A move that didn't sit well. As a result, gang members would enter a bar in which the online star had been hanging out at, before opening fire, striking the teenager as many as 18 times, killing him instantly. It was one of the more viral YouTube stories back in 2017, and tragically, it has since come out that Juan was incredibly impaired at the time of that notorious recording, and the video itself was taken by a friend who posted it to social media without his consent, a decision that would prove to be a tragic
Cost his
mistake.
life.
But as dark as this story is, it's just another in a
Thank you.
long line of examples. As fittingly, just a few months following this event, yet another YouTuber would be targeted. El Salón TV was a Mexican YouTube channel started back on February 9th of 2012, being run by a lady named Pamica Montenegro. Pamica would feature videos ranging from beauty tips to skits as well as vlogs, with her undeniable charisma being present in each upload. But along with these fairly standard videos, Pamica would also focus a good deal of her content around political commentary in the region of Guerrero, Mexico. She was a journalist through and through, also publishing within her own magazine, as well as across vast social media accounts. Politics were something that she took very seriously, though that might not always be obvious to outsiders who watched her videos, as she would take a very satirical approach to the topic,
Satirical?
often playing as a character and cracking jokes, as she would share this very real information about local officials, having a specific interest in the corruption going on within the city of Acapulco.
Nikki.
On March 3rd, 2016, Pamica would upload a video covering the supposed corruption of Evito Velázquez Eguari, an established politician in the area, stating that he had governed with, quote, compadres without experience and without social commitment, before going on to insinuate that he had multiple conflicts of interest and was clearly a corrupt man. Publishing this video would ultimately prove to be costly. According to Pamica's husband, Samuel Munizori, immediately following its upload, his wife was met with a wave of harassment and death threats. A surprising reaction considering that Pamica had such a small following at the time, to this day having only
Hi, Snicky. What are you doing, baby? You want to say hello? Love you. You want to get on my mouse pad? Go get on it. She's such a good baby.
Garnered 2,000 subscribers, with the video itself having only 11,000 views. A number that's been heavily inflated in recent years, likely having only a few hundred at the time of the threats.
You know what's weird,
Yet
you guys? I'm almost like desensitized to her poking me now. She's just always had really sharp claws, even if they're cut short. So like this area of my neck, like right here, has been poked and re-poked so many times that there's like, I barely even feel it anymore. Like from her climbing on my shoulder, she'll just poke a hole in my skin right here all the time. But hey, that's how I've always felt, man. If you're not comfortable with getting poked or scratched every now and then, don't get a cat, because declawing is mutilation.
Harassment for even talking about the politician, even if
Agreed.
no one was listening, was very real, leading her husband to state that whatever may happen to him and Pamika, it will likely be at the hands of Evadillo Velasquez. But truthfully, Pamika had made more enemies than just him. She had immense knowledge of the gangs that frequented that area,
this is like
as well as
John
a
Lang,
platform
kind of.
that she would often discuss the activities of these very groups, leading the rumor to be spread that she was releasing secret information about the gangs throughout her channel and her social media pages, something that obviously wasn't taken kindly to. And unfortunately, well, we know where this is headed. On February 5th, 2018, Pamika would be working at a restaurant that she had owned with her husband. There, her husband would send out a social media post inviting all their friends to come in for a visit. Immediately following this, 2 armed gunmen would enter the restaurant in which Pamika was working and proceed to execute her in front of her friends and loved ones. The men would quickly leave the restaurant, never being caught to this day. No motive has ever been given to the seemingly deliberate attack on Pamika, but diving into her history, it would quickly be reported that a local gang had taken her out due to the content she was posting on YouTube, with the Jalisco cartel being tossed around as a potential perpetrator for the crime, while others, including Pamika's own husband, thought that Evadillo Velasquez, the prominent politician that Pamika had frequently criticized, had likely put a hit on her, potentially reaching out to a local gang to do his dirty work in order to silence the journalist who had proven to be his biggest critic, with this particular theory being the most widely believed to this day. But whatever motive was and is true, it shows us the dangerous landscape that journalists in Mexico are facing even to this day.
For real.
And how risky this whole YouTube channel really was, despite appearing so innocent.
Lighthearted,
and despite it being so innocent, as the page was run by someone who simply had a passion for politics and who wanted to report on the truth despite knowing the implications that it could have. And unfortunately, it was this very drive
You need me to turn the camera
and
off?
love she had for this channel that would ultimately end up costing Pamika her life. You never know what you're gonna get when you explore these twisted channels that the site has to offer. Some pages telegraph devastation that's soon to come, while some come across as so inconspicuous. But regardless of how they gained their infamy, these channels will serve as relics on the site and tragic reminders of the disturbed side of humanity and the dark side of YouTube.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow StampedeG on Twitch. Links are down below.